Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Friday Nightmares podcast. On tonight's show, we will be discussing zombies, reality, and fantasy. I am your host, recording from Swartz Creek, Michigan, Scott Crawford, and with me, as always, is my lovely partner in crime.
The Queen from the North, Heather Powell, recording from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. You forgot to mention you're in your horror basement.
Oh, I am in my horror basement. It's been a little while since I've recorded down here for
Because it's
our
hot
show.
as fuck.
Hot as hell, and I've already had it set up down here from when we recorded It's Not Horror.
Okay.
Okay.
So here we are, end of June. Happy early Canada Day to my Canadian friends, and happy Independence Day to you, Scott, and all my American friends.
Thank you. And yes, happy Canada Day to the few Canadians that I know and love, and happy Independence Day for everyone here in the U.S. Like, we'll see what happens. Like, there's probably not going to be many events, but hopefully everybody gets to hang out with friends and family and have some cookouts or in Canada
Barbecues?
Barbecues.
Barbecues?
Or BBQs.
BBQs. Yeah, you can all put your flags on your houses
Oh
so
my
everyone knows
gosh.
you're American.
I went for a walk today in my subdivision, and apparently there is someone that is very patriotic because their yard was just filled with these miniature American flags all over the place, and I'm going, oh boy.
We do that maybe on Canada, like actually on Canada Day. Like we all wear, like I was in Walmart, what night was it? Last night. I was getting snacks because I went to a pool and hot tub thing. Well, I was the only one in the pool and hot tub. I was actually just telling Scott before we started recording. I spent the night last night going from pool to hot tub, like a total basic white bitch. Like, I don't think I could have been any more, like, privileged than I was last night.
That was living your best life right there.
It was living my best life. But anyway, in Walmart, everything's Canada Day, like Canada Day bathing suits, Canada Day sweaters, Canada Day bags, and I always find it hilarious because I really don't buy that stuff. Like if there's an event, I'll go and maybe get like a Canadian flag tattoo, and I consider myself pretty proud to be Canadian, but I just find that other stuff really fucking cheesy, and I don't have no interest in owning it or wearing it, but whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the same here in the U.S. Like there's American flag stuff, American apparel everywhere, and then just a giant aisle in almost all grocery stores and other stores of fireworks. Because I was going to ask, do you guys like sell fireworks and launch fireworks on Canada Day, kind of like us in America?
Yeah, we do, but it's not the same as like what you guys do, right? Like, I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure like 4th of July, y'all like get outside and let off fireworks. But yeah, we usually do, but this year it's banned. So there's no sale of fireworks. So if someone had some from before, I'm sure they could let them off, but there's no firework displays. It's funny. They tried to do like a virtual firework display for Victoria Day weekend because we have fireworks for that too, which I don't know if anyone fucking watched that. Like I like fireworks. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy them. But I've seen some pretty like high class ones. Like we have a sister city. So I'm from Burlington, Ontario. There's a sister city that we have in Japan, and they came over one year and did a firework presentation for us to music.
Oh, wow.
And we did some stuff for them. Like we went back and forth with this partnership. And this was back when I was like 16. And I think all of Burlington, which is a fairly large city, probably the size of Flint, went to this event. And they closed down streets. Like we had to walk there. I had to walk from my parents' house, which was like 45-minute walk. And it was incredible. So I enjoy fireworks, but like after you see something like that, you know what I mean? Like everything's like, yeah, right? Like, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything this year because I'm not seeing them.
Right. Yeah. Because I love watching the fireworks displays that different cities throw. Like we have one, a city here called Bay City, and Tim and I went there last summer for 4th of July, like last minute decision because we're just like, we both have the day off. We want to do something. Let's go to an event. Bay City's supposed to be well known for their fireworks. Maybe they have some fun activities going on or something. And we get out there and we just kind of drive around because we've been like through Bay City but never actually visited the city itself. And we ended up coming across this pier that led right out into the bay, and just beautiful. So we're like, oh, let's go take a walk. And then we were walking out in this long pier out in the middle of the water, and people were walking by going, oh, if you're here for the fireworks, this is the best spot to be for it. It's like, because they launch it right over there. We're like, oh, sweet. Okay. So we left our car and just walked, I think it was 10 miles that day, just through the city.
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah, like we walked to a bar, got a couple drinks, got a nice buzz going, walked across this big old bridge to the actual downtown part of the city, and like found this nice pizzeria and a couple other cool places, and I took a bunch of pictures, and because there was this really cool building, I think it was Cantonese or something like that restaurant, but it was closed for the day, but it had a picture of this character called Wang Wang, and it's like this little short guy that's like James Bond, but it's a Cantonese movie. And I'm like, is that Wang Wang from the exploitation era of like 70s films? And I looked it up and I'm like, holy shit, it is. And it was actually a restaurant dedicated to that movie.
That's
and
pretty cool.
I want to go back there just to like go inside and like see if they have it decorated that way or not. But
that's cool.
Yeah, we got back to the pier and like, yeah, it was a good spot because everybody was there and the fireworks were just phenomenal. It was right over the water and it was just beautiful, and you could see drones flying like right near the fireworks and everything like that too, like getting pictures of it for people that were in their apartments that couldn't get out into the like closer spots.
That's really nice. That's
Yeah,
really nice.
Like, and with fireworks for me, I love watching them. I will never spend money on them because I feel, to me personally, it's a waste of money because it's literally lighting your money on fire is how I look at it.
You probably don't like gambling either, I bet, do you?
I do gamble, just I don't do it very often. I gamble in other ways, like when I buy my magic cards and stuff like that, because I can pull $100 card out of a pack and stuff like that.
You gamble with your heart.
I do. I gamble with my nerddom.
That's awesome. Very, very fun. Well, it's a different look for this summer, but you know what? That's okay. I've been out to patios, which I've been living my best life doing that. I'm just happy that I've been able to go out and do things, like.
Yep, same here.
First world problems, we're really blessed to live in two countries that we have what we have. And for people that live in states that have been really affected, like up here, Canada, Florida has more cases of COVID-19 than all of Canada.
Yeah.
And in the city that I live in, less than 0.4% or 0.004% I don't even know what that is, like a percentage of 1% has COVID. So it's very limited here. Not a lot of people have it. A lot of people have recovered. But I know there's areas in the States where they're not so lucky. So, thinking of those guys too.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that, because, Michigan started opening up, and I'm hoping everything works out well for us, because the numbers have started to rise a little bit here, but only by like 100 cases more than what we were seeing for the last couple of weeks. So I know
that's not too bad, right? 100 rising, like it's gonna grow because people are gonna be going out again, right?
Yeah, and I think it has to do with our governor too. She's a lot more strict with, like, she's willing to shut down things to like keep it in control. So I know gyms were supposed to open this week, but she's seen the numbers rising. Gyms and theaters were supposed to open this week, and she's seen the numbers rising. So she said, I'm pushing it back till July 4th. We'll see what happens in that time and go from there.
Yeah, gyms are difficult. You know what's funny? My gym called me this week, not gym, a person, the YMCA that I go to just see how I was doing. And I'm a real supporter of the YMCA and what they do for the community.
Right.
And, I miss going to the gym. I'm a gym rat, so I really enjoy it. But you know what? Like, it's cesspool for germs. Like, that's reality. So,
yeah.
We got to do what's best for everybody right now. And if it's not going to work out in a gym, then that's probably for the best.
Right, exactly. And after my time away from the gym and just doing the stuff here at home, I don't know if I'll go back to the gym. I'm actually like feeling like I'm making more progress being like doing the stuff that I'm doing here at home.
Yeah, you're seeing results.
Yeah. And like before I was just building muscle. Now I'm actually like losing weight because I'm doing more cardio stuff.
Look at that. Scott's going to be a hottie by the end of this year. right?
I wish.
We're gonna have to switch to video just so we can get more listeners, and Scott can just do it shirtless and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I record pantless stuff now.
That's true. And each time you tip, just like a cam girl, Scott will take more off. It's very exciting.
Yeah, but I'll do it all sexy, like with some music.
Oh, but it will be the Blind Guardian because Scott doesn't listen to anything else.
Oh my gosh, here we go again.
It'll be all like Blind Guardian because that's what he's going to be stripping to, or music from the early 2000s. That's the other thing that he listens to as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll find some beats from the early 2000s because
Right.
Blind Guardian isn't good enough to like strip to, so you gotta have
No.
some beats.
Strip to. All right, before we like get into this fucking hole of wherever we're going with this conversation, why don't we you don't have that many movies to talk about. Well, you have watched more 2020s.
Ha ha! I am caught up to you now.
Yeah, I don't really like it, but it's not fair because some of these movies weren't on Shudder, and I just feel like that's
that really bums me out. I was so.
It bums you out, huh?
Well, I mean, it does because I was really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on one of these films.
Well, hopefully I get to see the one that you're talking about. I know which one it is because you haven't talked about the other ones.
That's so
obviously,
true.
you don't give a shit about what I think about the other ones. I think there was one that you saw on Tubi that I could have watched, but after your raving review, I figured I'd just skip that one.
Yeah.
So there's just one that I'm going to touch on briefly because you already brought it up, but you don't have good taste, so we feel the need to bring it up again. The movie is Scare Package 2020. I liked it a lot. So I know Scott talked about this last week, I think, or last week, or last time we recorded. And I watched it with very low expectations because, in all fairness to you, Scott, you were not the only one who did not like it. So as much as I razz you and tease you, your opinion was among the majority. I thought it was funny. Now, I have the humor of equivalent of a 10-year-old boy. So I think that I found there was one part that I thought was really funny is like at the beginning sequence, and our main character shows up and he's driving this convertible, and the convertible comes up and it's a Freddy.
Yes, I love
that. I thought it was a great call to Nightmare on Elm Street. That was really funny. I thought all of the skits were funny. One of my favorite was one where a girl catches the guy that's trying to kill her and kills all her boyfriends every time she's about to have sex with them, and the whole diatribe that goes on with that, I thought was...
Okay, yeah, that one I actually enjoyed too. I forgot about that one.
Oh my god, I thought it was so funny. At the end, the wraparound, Joe Bob was in it. Joe Bob Briggs, right, was in it. I thought that was really cool. Anyway, I thought it was really funny. I really enjoyed it. They're covering it on Fresh Cuts next week, and I really enjoy listening to people's thoughts on it. Rebecca from In the Mike Madness, I guess, knows some of the directors that made some of the short films, so she's going to be talking about it, hopefully, if she's on that episode, which I think is cool. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I have that similar sense of humor, though. I love the fact that it was in an old school video store that it was filmed in, and like the main characters are so over the top goofy that I just thought it was really funny. I enjoyed.
Yeah, because I like the wraparound, and like I'd say about half the stories I really enjoyed, and the others I didn't hate. I just thought were okay.
I loved all the stories.
I know
they were
you
all
did.
Funny. I like the chick one was hilarious too, with the cursed fucking lollipop or whatever.
I had to ask you what the trope was on that one because I was so confused. I'm like, I don't get what this is supposed to be.
It was so like over the top. Fucking girls go crazy fucking shit. It was great. It was cultish shit. Anyway, I thought it was really funny, and how the killer keeps coming back and then he tries to kill him with kindness and shit. Like, like he shaves his head. I'm giving so many spoilers away. The scene where he shaves his head and he looks like Corey Feldman from Corey Feldman, right?
Oh, from Friday. Part
Oh my
4.
god, I was what he says. His lines that he says at that part are so funny. Like, it's just, I don't know how you weren't dying at that scene. Like, I thought I was gonna like fall off my chair. I was laughing so hard, but I don't know, maybe it was just the mood I was in when I watched it, but I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed a decent chunk of it. I probably rated it a little harshly, but yeah, I still thought it was pretty good. Like for an anthology, like I just had some issues with some.
Well, it's because you're no heart. So anyway,
yeah.
I'm just Hugs and Tugs. It's a Care Bear reference. People are probably like, Hugs and Tugs, Heather. Viewership just went up. All right, so Scott, why don't you talk about our next bad boy that we watched last weekend?
All right, so this movie, it goes by two different titles. One is by the title Eight, which makes sense once you watch the movie. Then the second title is the more Americanized version title, and I just found it very generic, but it's called The Soul Collector.
Which sounds like a Wes Craven film from the early 2000s.
It does. It sounds so generic.
It's a bunch of teenagers, and there's someone after their soul. Will he finish his collection?
But yeah, this is I think this might be my first ever South African horror film that I've watched.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think it's my first two. I tried to watch another one, but I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, this one is about this guy that carries around the sack. It's very folklorish.
Yes, very folklorish.
And he carries around this like sack, like this knapsack made of flesh that carries in it like a creature. I don't want to say what the creature is because of spoilers, but he pretty much walks around and collects the souls of the people that are suffering and dying. And he ends up befriending this little girl at this farmhouse that just moved in, and the story kind of just unravels from there. Like we watched a version that I was kind of pirated, so there was some...
Yarr. It's a really great day here at Friday Nightmares anyway.
But there was dialogue that was spoken in the African language, and there was no subtitles, which I think that was where a lot of the folklore background story comes from. So I want to rewatch it, but I really loved this movie.
It was a really solid film. I think it's funny that we're so white that we don't even know which language it was, because there's like probably 50 dialects in the continent or in South Africa alone, let alone other like let alone the continent of Africa, for example. Like we're so like language African, like we have no idea what it actually is. So we apologize if someone knows what that language is. Scott and I are not that cultured to know,
right.
Unfortunately. But I agree. I thought it was some great storytelling. The acting was awesome. The practical effects were very good. Very emotional story, a very emotional story, and that's great. You know, I personally enjoy emotional storytelling, and I thought it was a great watch. I think this is I've heard people go on that 2020 has been a bad year for films, and then you ask them how many they've seen, and they've seen 10. Right. And I never in a million years thought I'd be one of these people that are like, okay, you need to watch more movies. But you do. Like, don't tell me that 2020 is a bad year for films and you've watched 10 movies.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when those 10 movies, like 60% of them are the theatrical releases we got early in the year, and there weren't that many good theatrical releases this year.
No, like Invisible Man was a great film. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, that was like
my top 10.
Yeah, and I was saying, I think that was the highlight. That was like the highest.
And Underwater, I say, was really good too. Like those are both solid films, but like, Fantasy Island, don't put that as it's a fun little film. Like it's not a bad film, but it's definitely what I go, oh man, Fantasy Island, that totally tops like the quality of this year. No, and I think you got to expand to international films. Like and I'm not saying that people are afraid of subtitles, but look outside of the typical stuff that you see on, Shudder, or go into Netflix and look at what's been released. Do a little bit of digging. Listen to podcasts and what they're listening to. Listen to the Rotten Roundtable with Mark Nato. Man has watched 300 films so far. Like makes you and I at 81, and I don't know what you're at now.
Yep, 81 exactly with
81. Like that's why I feel like when people tell me this year's been a horrible year, I get really mad because I'm like, well, then no one hasn't.
Yeah, because I think the issue is a lot of the films that we're seeing are only on these streaming platforms or VOD releases, and there's not a good way to like keep track of what is coming out, because some places, like some websites, will just say, oh, here's what's new to Shudder. Oh, another website will be like, oh, here's what's new to Netflix. And well, shit, a lot of the stuff on Netflix I didn't even know about until you found some stuff and told me about it.
Yeah.
Like,
but if you listen to podcasts, you don't really have an excuse, because there's lots of podcasts out there that are covering this stuff now, right? So, and of course, like if you're just not interested, I'm not trying to shoot on anybody, like if you're not interested, but I think that if you've only watched 10 films, you can't say this has been a poor year. Like you really
Right.
can't. Like that's to me not a fair statement because you're not basing it off of anything. You're basing it off of 10 films that you've watched when, we have someone like Mark Nato that's watched 300. Now out of that
Right.
300, obviously there's going to be films that aren't that good. But if we watched 81 and both of us have a solid top 10 that we're comfortable with, and then, oh man, how are we going to rank things in our 10 to 20? Like or 11 to 20? What does that say about this year?
Right, exactly. Because I would say like my top 20 is like films I would absolutely recommend. Like I
Oh
just
yeah,
love everything in the
absolutely.
top 20 for sure.
Absolutely, right? I couldn't agree more. So I think that people just need to be a little more open-minded, which is what we're going to do when we get into our next one here.
Yes.
So the next film that I want to talk about briefly is Dead Sound. So Dead Sound was something that you watched back in, I don't know, a while ago.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably like 2 or 3 episodes back now.
About that, right? So I watched it the other night. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, like I would say it's probably more thriller than it is horror, but it was a really enjoyable film. I thought the acting was decent. I thought the way the characters reacted in the situation that they were in was valid. It handled some pretty heavy issues about addiction, some very tense scenes where people are forced to take drugs and you don't know what's going to happen to them. Overall, like easy watch, and for Uncorked, I would say probably the best Uncorked film I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is right up there with The Dinner Party for me because I really love The Dinner Party, and like it's another one of those where it's all about the characters, and these actors all did a really good job, and it was self-contained isolation horror, nothing like super big budget or anything like that, but they worked with what they had for their budget, and it shows, and they did a great job with it.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm glad that you mentioned it before and that you had found it and that we watched it because it was really a good film.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that one. Like I think it might be like in my top 25, top 30. Oh, Heather is getting her basic white girl on.
Yeah, I got my Starbucks. This is why we should switch the video, and everyone can see how pretentious I am with my nails done and realize that you really are the nicer one.
But you're the better looking one.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. He's just saying that because he's trying to build up my self-esteem because Brandon wants him more than me. Anyway, on to the next film.
Oh yes. So yeah, this one is Warning: Do Not Play. We watched this separately at different times, but both watched it within our time span. But it was on Shudder, and yeah, this is a South Korean horror film that's along the lines of The Ring, where it's a cursed film that was shown at this like film festival, and I think people got really sick and like had heart attacks and stuff like that, and then the film just got lost. And this lady was trying to do either documentary or another film herself, and she wanted to find this film.
She's a screenwriter, so she's trying. So I listened to the Fresh Cuts episode on this the other day, and it really helped. So she was a screenwriter, and she had to get a screenplay in, so she was using this film as inspiration. I think that's how it started, but obviously it goes down a sinister path.
Yep, and a route of obsession.
And I would say for South Korean films, like I've watched a handful. I'm no expert. I was going to be on that Fresh Cuts episode, but I didn't feel confident enough in my knowledge of South Korean films to be on there, especially when you're on with someone like Don and Ellie, who is extremely knowledgeable, and I learned a lot from him in Venom, listening to it, and Mike as well. So I was glad that I listened to it after I watched it. I would honestly, they say it's not the best South Korean movie, like it's decent, but I think it's better than any ghost story we've seen come out of America or Canada this year. Like I haven't seen any like domestic films ghost story wise that have been good. Like The Turning was crap in my opinion. For a ghost story, props to some of the parts of that movie, but as a ghost story it wasn't entertaining at all. And the other like low budget ghost stories I've seen, I haven't enjoyed them. Like I thought they were stupid. The Grudge, well, I got The Grudge. The Grudge came out this year, or the reboot or whatever. The ghost that can travel from Japan to Canada first class on Air Canada or Delta or whatever it flew on. But yeah, honestly, I think for a ghost story, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and this one, like, and most ghost stories aren't very violent. There's a few of them, but this one had some like pretty vicious violence in it too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it. It's on Shudder. Compared to other stuff on Shudder, like this is definitely if you want to kind of just expand your horizons of international films, this is a very easy film to watch. It's short. I think it's only like 85 minutes. It's not a long watch. You know, the characters are, and you care what happens to them. Like I did feel an anxiety at certain points for certain characters. Like you cared. So.
Yeah, I was the exact same way. Like I
Yeah.
thought this was a really well done ghost story, and the acting was all really good. Because yeah, like you said, you feel for the characters, and it's the actors that bring that out of them, like the writing or the dialogue and the characters. But yeah, I recommend this one. It's definitely worth a watch. I really enjoyed it. But I guess we can jump on to our.
Oh, I should do the next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. You should have left 2020. You should have left and not watched this movie is what actually the rest of it's supposed to say, but they took that out of the title. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Kevin Bacon was fine in this. A lot of people have like criticized the casting for this one with Amanda Seyfried and Kevin Bacon. I thought they were fine. Like I didn't have a beef with them as a couple. I thought that they were okay. I just found the story like so basic bitch and just so predictable and just so, I don't know. I didn't think it was creative. I didn't think it was anything super special. Like it was kind of just there. I wouldn't recommend spending $20 on it.
Yeah, because this is one of those films from Blumhouse that's along the lines of The Hunt and Invisible Man, where it was, since theaters are closed, this was supposed to go theatrical. So cool of them to release it and allow you to rent it for $19.99, but I would not recommend it. To tell you the truth, when I was looking at this list of movies that we're talking about, I came across this title and went, "Oh, Heather watched a movie I haven't heard of," forgetting that this is the movie what this movie was.
We watched this movie together.
Yeah, just literally last week.
That tells you how memorable it was for Scott.
Yeah, it was just so middle of the road.
It was totally, I feel like it was just like, look, we got Kevin Bacon. You should like this movie.
Yeah, we got Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried, like very well-known actors. You should like be happy and love this movie. And
they were fine. Okay?
Yeah, they were not the issue. It was just the story.
It was just poor writing, and even the little girl was fine. She was actually pretty cute, the young lady that's in it. And the characters, like, oh my god, I almost want to give spoilers because I think the movie's so stupid on what happens, but it's just so predictable. You know, like none of this was a surprise. Like it was just. You know, if you've seen enough horror movies, you've seen this plot.
Yeah, and you and I both called this one within like 20 minutes of the movie.
Right? Oh my god. Though I will like and I felt like they tried to do dream sequences that weren't dream sequences, but you weren't sure if they were dream sequences. Like they were just so like I want to hear Venom watch this movie because I feel like he's gonna go over on how stupid it is. I could just hear him getting angry in my head.
Yeah. I could totally see it.
But yeah, like I just yet again, like I'm super glad I didn't go to the theater and drop a bunch of money on popcorn and pop to watch this. Like, let me tell you that much.
Well, I probably actually wouldn't have minded because I would have only spent $5 for the movie, and then, like, I would have actually enjoyed it just for the fact that I had popcorn and pop.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, like, I think if you are a big Kevin Bacon fan, it's worth a watch. He looks great, you know, for a gentleman that's, I think, 60. Like,
yeah.
Damn, like, man takes care of himself. Amanda Seyfried is a beautiful young lady. Well, not young. I guess she's the same age as me, probably. She's probably in her 30s. Beautiful woman. And they're great. Like, if you're fans of them, I think you'll enjoy the film. But I wouldn't.
And if you're a fan
of, you could watch, right?
Yeah, and I was saying, and if you're a fan of like the haunted house type storylines.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
it's such a shitty haunted house. It's such a shitty haunted house storyline. Like, it's not even like Turning. I felt like I was going through some like cheap haunted castle in Niagara Falls. Like,
right.
This one was just stupid. Like, it wasn't even scary. Like, it was just dumb. It was just, and I feel like they were trying to do this deep concept, but they couldn't like seal the deal.
No, they could not. Like, I think you and I rolled our eyes like to the point where they almost fell out of our head.
Oh, I so badly want to give spoilers. I almost wish this was fresh cut so I could go off on what my theory is on what happened at the beginning in the first 15 minutes and how I think they never went back to that, but that's actually what happened. And like, anyway, this isn't the time or the place. I don't know. Maybe if we cover like haunted house, like actual haunted places, not like the haunted house episode we did before, like haunted places. Maybe we can bring this in just so I can like spoil it and give my theories behind it. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so it looks like the next three are all on me on this one.
Yeah. Look at you. My name's Scott. I watched the 2020 movies on my own. Wow. Okay, Scott. Yeah, go ahead. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
It's good. It's because I'm popular.
I know. Whatever. I'm gonna drink my Starbucks.
So this next one is called The Clearing, and this was also another 2020 watch, and I was surprised, but the app Crackle apparently is starting to do their own exclusive original content.
Oh.
And I don't even remember how I came across this. I think it was just some website I was trying to look up new 2020 horror films, and this one popped up saying, like, check out The Clearing on Crackle. And I'm like, well, I already have the Crackle app. Why not? I'll look into it. And it's basically about a father that takes his daughter out for like a camping trip, and they take their RV and go to like this camping commune, and they're just out there, and then all of a sudden a zombie virus strikes, and everybody's like,
Damn.
yeah, and like zombies just start attacking, and they're like the fast-paced zombies. The little girl ends up like leaving in the morning because she's in Girl Scouts, and she's trying to earn one of her badges, so she goes out in the morning to find like certain flowers or something like that, and then that's when the zombies strike. And so it's basically like this father is stuck in this RV surrounded by these zombies and can see his daughter out in the distance in the wilderness, like kind of sneaking around, but he can't get to her. And like it's basically a story about how am I getting back to my daughter and how am I
That
going to
sounds
keep her safe.
good.
It was, yeah, I was really impressed with this. Like it's very minimal cast besides obviously the zombies. It's very tense.
Sounds like they used their budget well there. Like that's
They
a simple,
really did.
You can do zombie makeup, and zombies can look differently, right? Like you can just have people that look really mad, or you can do some really elaborate shit. So I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and it starts off like right away.
Oh,
and, like,
really? Nice.
Yeah, and then they kind of tell you like backstory stuff in between as the father is just like trying to struggle to survive on his own. Because obviously, when you're in an RV camping, you're gonna run out of supplies eventually. Because you don't go there for like a long-term thing. But yeah, this is a high recommend for me. This is a really good, like very personal style zombie film, and
Nice. On Crackle app, you say? So do you have to download the app?
Yep, which everything with Crackle is free. You just gotta deal with commercials.
I didn't know this, and I feel like you didn't tell me so you could catch up.
Actually, I did message you a week or two before when I first heard about this movie and said, hey, you should look into the app Crackle. And you're like, oh, I'll do that. And then that was the last time
I don't believe you. I think you're just making it up.
I could, actually, you know what? I will go back in our messages, I'll screenshot it and share it to our Facebook page.
Be like, make sure there's nothing else inappropriate.
Right.
Not that Scott and I discuss inappropriate things.
No.
Our messages are always very, very PC, and we love everybody, so everything's just positive all the time. Oh, that sounds good though. I'm really pleased to hear a plot like that. Yet again, I like these plots that are simplistic and that match people's budget and what their resources are. Like,
yeah.
Man, am I growing in respect for that this year.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with the acting in this too. The father and the daughter, yeah, they did a really good job. Like you feel for them. Like it was, it definitely pulled on your heartstrings.
Good, cool. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing that one.
Yep, and I'll save the best for last, and I'll just go with The Girl in the Crawlspace for
which
right
is
now.
Actually based on Scott's story because he has the chick that he keeps in the crawlspace.
Hey, I said be quiet. I'm recording a podcast.
Actually, it's so unrealistic. Scott would be the person kept in the crawlspace.
Well, that's why I'm telling them above me to stay quiet because I'm trying to record a podcast.
Oh, that's right, because you're in the crawlspace. That's true.
Yeah, this one was free on Tubi, and I just kind of scrolled through and seen it, and I'm like, oh, I'll give it a shot. I mean, maybe I'll find a hidden gem.
You're like, I just got to catch up to Heather.
Any excuse I can.
I'm almost there.
But, yeah, no. Avoid this movie. Good Lord. It was an hour and 20 minutes. It could have been like a 40-minute movie. Like, it's about, like, I'm trying to think of how to go about this. Like, it's about a woman that comes back to her old hometown. Apparently, she is a therapist, and she got in trouble for helping someone that she knows personally in her job, like in the city she was in. So she comes back to this small town, and goes and does the exact same thing again, where she's helping these small town people out that she's known since she's grown up. So it's a dumb idea.
Wow, she sounds really smart.
Yeah, and but it's basically about like they're trying to like just discuss about this guy that kidnapped women and hid them in a crawl space, and like she's just trying to find, like, the woman is still alive that was in this crawl space, so she's trying to like get to kind of the bottom of what was going on there, because it happened like a couple years ago and the girl's still not right in the head from it, obviously. And so she's just trying to like figure out and try to find ways to get her to talk about it. She's not opening up. But man, the exposition heavy dialogue in this is so ridiculous. Like the cop that shows up, he's known her since she was a little girl. He goes, "Oh, why'd you come back?" "Oh, well, because my father died, so I wanted to come back to this house." "Oh, that's right, your father died from this, and it's been so long since you've been to this house." Like, it just the dialogue.
The dialogue and the convenient plot points, right?
Yeah, and the dialogue between the two of them, it's just like, here, let me explain everything to you, even though you can already see what's going on the screen. But we're going to make sure, because the audience is dumb, and we need to tell you this. It was insulting.
I got a better Crawlspace movie.
What's that?
Once was a young girl named Heather, and her parents had a Crawlspace. And what she used to do with her girlfriends is they would go all the way to the back corner of this Crawlspace, which was on the other end of the house, and there would be lights, and we would tell scary stories, and then we would dare each other to stay behind in the dark while all the lights were turned out and crawl out.
That's awesome.
And I did it, and I still am scared of the Crawlspace in my parents' house. I used to think fucking shit was going to come out of that all the time. And then one day we found writing on the wall in there, which were from the children that used to live there before. Okay, like we're not, but when you're 8, you make up
right.
Shit, right? So we made up these stories about these kids that lived there before, and they got locked in the crawl space. But anyway, crawl spaces are pretty fucking creepy. But that movie sounds horrible. Sounds like a Lifetime film.
It felt like one, and actually that kind of brings up a story for me, because speaking of crawl spaces, when I was a kid, my parents had one, and the door to the
and they kept you in there.
Yes. But no, it almost opened up like a cellar door. It was like this big square door.
Yeah.
And it was on the floor in my toy room. And so,
okay, Scott, where are we going with this story?
So instead of going down there with friends and telling spooky stories, I would open it up, crawl down into the crawl space with all my G.I. Joes, and start playing G.I. Joe in the crawl space, and would go all the way to the back and buy one of the ground level windows. And I would always try to scare my stepdad by just like banging on it when he walked by. But yeah, I would go down there by myself and just play G.I. Joes and like micro machines and stuff like that in the dirt.
This is where we find out that Scott actually had a twin that like they kept in the crawl space, like people under the stairs and shit. Like, no, that's like completely separate. Never mind. Different movies, different concepts. Oh, he's trying to pretend like I called him out on something. You should all see his face right now. Like he actually has a twin that he killed. Like, first of all, if there was a twin, it would have killed Scott. Okay? Scott would have killed the twin.
You've done it. You've opened the doors of my memory. Wrong. I've completely locked that away.
Yeah, with all the weedy smoke, that's the other issue.
You cleared out the weed smoke, and I see now.
Now I can see I had this twin that lived in the crawl space. All right, yeah. So anyway, this is a non-recommend from Scott, and now we have one more.
Yes, and this is my #1 movie of the year now. And it is the most dumbest title in the world, but it is Ghost Killers versus Bloody Mary. And, well, unfortunately, apparently this is not on Canadian Shudder, and is only on the U.S. Shudder, which is why I was disappointed that Heather couldn't watch it, because I was really looking forward to hearing her thoughts.
Uh-huh.
But, holy crap, I heard from, I think it was Mark Nato months ago, that he thought, like, he's like, this is a dumb title, but it's a very entertaining movie. So I went into it going, okay, we'll see what this is about, because Mark Nato and I agree and disagree on certain films. And yeah, this is about these ghost hunter wannabes that are just trying to be popular on YouTube, faking everything just to get views.
So they're paranormal investigators that are going to a haunted house.
Yep, like the plot is so basic, bitch. It's also Brazilian. It's my first cool. Brazilian horror film that I've seen. So they're speaking Portuguese. Yes, it was my first. But it's in Portuguese. But no, it's like these ghost hunters are like we're not having any success on being popular on these YouTube sites. And then they get a call about this ghost that appeared in this high school. And the teacher's like, or the principal's like, yeah, we're just doing this to calm the students down because there's a rumor that Bloody Mary got released and like the students are all paranoid, but it's a bunch of bullcrap. But students were talking about you guys, so we wanted to like hire you so you can put on this show to make it look like it's all clear. And they go, they're going, all right, yeah, so we'll just pretend everything. And well, when they realize that Bloody Mary is real, this is when the movie just goes batshit insane.
Crazy.
The only way I can compare it is way over the top violent and hilarious and offensive along the lines of The Evil Dead and Deathgasm. If you like the humor that's in those two films with the crazy over the top amounts of violence and gore, this will be your type of film because I did not expect any of this when I came into it. It's freaking hilarious. Like I was laughing my ass off multiple times to the point where my roommate came out going, what the hell is so funny? And I just pointed at the screen, not even being able to talk because I'm laughing so hard. And he's just going, oh, and he just walks away. But man, it is just
so what you're saying is that you do laugh at things sometimes.
I do. And this one, it had me in tears. And like the gore was just way over the top. A lot of practical effects, which was really awesome. Like this is a high recommend for me. And I got to find a way to get you to watch this. So
I feel like you only say it's a high recommend because I can't see it.
Yes, that is the only reason. No, I'm hoping like, worst case scenario, you can't watch it like on your own, that, the border's open and you get to visit or whatever, and I can have you watch it then. Like,
well, that sounds like I feel like a zombie apocalypse is more likely to happen than that at this point. Borders opening? What are you talking about? We'll never have open borders again.
It's so true. But like, if it does happen before the end of the year, and like we're doing our year-end watch, just kind of catching up, I want to have you watch this.
Yeah, I have to, so I don't have to hear you talk about it for like 20 minutes in our year-end show.
This may be our new Gremlins topic. I'll just bring this up every episode. But yeah, that's the end of the 2020 watches. So I guess we can jump on into the older movies that we watched. We only have a few of these.
Yeah, because the rest of them were all zombie films that we're going to talk about later.
Exactly.
So the few non-zombie films I watched first one was Wishmaster.
Oh, I love this
from
movie.
1997. And, like, I really like Wes Craven, but I haven't seen all Wes Craven films. And I feel like people, like, don't think that's your favorite director if you haven't seen all their films. And I guess that's fair. I guess I just didn't. So anyway, I watched it, and I enjoyed it. I thought the beginning, I was like, oh my God, is this like The Mummy? And it's just actually just The Mummy cut as Wishmaster, because it starts off very like how The Mummy starts off, the Brendan Fraser one, the good one, not the Tom Cruise one. But yeah, it gets better. Like as the movie progresses, I enjoyed it more. I particularly find the Wishmaster quite handsome when he takes his human form.
Yeah, he is very seductive, and his voice is sexy.
I'd be like, I wish for you. Turn into a different kind of movie.
The porn master.
Right? Anyway. God, I'm such a horn dog. Anyway. But yeah, it was good. And like I like how it ends. Like the climax was really good. And enjoyed the guest spots in it. Kane Hodder was in it. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, were you going to say something?
I was saying the Robert Englund, of course.
Yes, of course. Which is like, the moment I saw him, I was like, Robert, you're here. Finally. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. You know what? It was a fun watch. It was on Monday night, and I had spent the day watching some heavy movies, so it was nice to watch something light and fluffy. And it was light and fluffy. Like, it was, it didn't take a lot of thinking. Didn't have to put on my thinking cap for that one. It was a pretty basic film. So, and then I was going to watch the sequel. I looked at what it was about. It was like Wishmaster, or I can't remember the name of the demon or whatever, ends up in a jail. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, that one is actually good. I would say.
With
obviously,
you? Okay.
Part 1 is better, but part 2 I like, and then part 3 and 4 just don't even bother. But no, there's a reason why he like gets brought into the jail. That makes sense.
Oh, does it? Okay. I saw the synopsis and I was like, I'm not feeling that right now. I had to watch some other amazing zombie movies, which we'll get to later, that definitely won my heart over for sure. And then, do you mind if I just hammer these out?
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, thanks. All right.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, boss. The next one was a great documentary that's on Shudder, and it's called Why Horror. And it's a Canadian documentary. The gentleman goes to the University of Toronto and talks about conferences in Canada, which are horror cons in Canada, which I really love. So,
which makes sense why you were really fascinated with this documentary and told me to watch
I know,
it.
exactly. I was like, it's Canadian.
I have to love it.
Though I was a little disappointed it wasn't Christian from Exploding Heads. Like, that means there's another Canadian that likes horror. Well, Moods is out in BC, but like, and Will's in Quebec, but I didn't know there was more than like 4 of us, so that kind of just changes everything. But yeah, I thought it was really great, the psychology stuff that they put into it, the testing they put into it, his discussion of, why do people get into horror and how that develops your taste. And it was just a really, really well put together, thoughtful documentary. I would say for any horror fan, it's worth the watch. If you've had people question your sanity or your taste in horror for whatever reason, not that you need justification, but I think that it provides some really good valid points as to why we enjoy it.
Yeah, and because I watched this, like, I think you told me to watch it, and, like, I watched it the very next day at work, and yeah, I thought this was really fascinating, especially the tests. I thought were really cool and unique. Like, they do a test where it's like seeing about like men and women, how they react in theaters to scary films, and like how the guy wants to kind of be like I'll be your brick that you can hold on to, like, for safety, and like the women want someone they can cling to, and they were trying to test that theory on how that worked. And then the one where they do the scan with his mother and him, where they're doing that test to like one person loves horror films and one that gets scared easily, and I thought that was really cool. This would have been a interesting documentary to watch before we did our very first episode on what is considered horror.
It would have been really good. And it's funny because I also like to go to movies and cuddle up with dudes, but that's because I want to get laid at the end of the movie.
So do I. That's why I cuddle up with dudes.
Right? Like, I'm down with that. I like to pretend to be scared. So I'm like, take care of me. But no, it was a really good documentary. I enjoyed it a lot. And finally, I watched a classic that I was so embarrassed that I never saw this movie. Just didn't happen, I guess. And then it was an American Werewolf in London. And
this movie is so amazing.
Yeah, and now I feel like a real horror fan. Just started watching movies this year, according to Brandon Orlick from Exploding Heads. So this has been a big year for me. And I loved it. I love the main character. He's definitely my boyfriend. If I could go back to 1981, he would be my boyfriend. Yep. He's so sweet and he's so cute, and shit goes wrong for him. And
just a little bit.
The love story that's in there, I could take or leave. Like, I love when people know each other for like 48 hours and they're like, I'm in love with you. Like, I think that's a little vomit worthy, but you're in lust with each other. That's what you are. You're in lust with each other.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Lust is a lot of fun, but that's what's going down. But yeah, I loved it. If you haven't seen it, definitely best transition into a werewolf that I've ever seen before. I see why it's praised. Obviously, there's some issues behind the director now, because I think this was the same director that did the Twilight Zone.
Yep, John Landis.
And when I watched the Curse film, I learned things about that Twilight movie that I didn't, Twilight Zone movie that I didn't want to know. It was pretty hard to watch. The Curse documentary shows some footage that is pretty intense, actually.
Yeah.
Few things make me gasp and cover my mouth, and that did. So, but I guess if you have feelings on that situation, if we remove that and just watch this movie, it's a classic. You definitely got to check it out, and I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I loved getting your reactions, like, in real time when you were messaging me when you were watching
yeah, like
it.
how he was going to be my boyfriend. That's probably what I said the most.
And then his best friend, and you were just like surprised and like how decomposed he kept.
Oh man, shit kept getting worse and worse for that dude. He kept getting more and more decomposed.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Right? And then, like, I guess this is a spoiler, but it's a 1981 film. And then when they're all in the movie theater, like, giving him shit, like, all the people that he's killed, like, I thought that was really, and it's like a porn theater. The porn theater was hilarious, too. Like, what a funny, like, a group of people getting together to watch porn. Like, I just found it really funny. Like, I don't know. I figure that's like an individual or a couple thing, or like whether you're a couple or not. Like, I couldn't see myself going to a porn theater with a bunch of strangers and all being like, all right, let's watch this porno. Like, it just seems odd.
Yeah, very awkward. And,
yeah, but I guess if you like that thing, you like that thing, right? Like,
right. I mean, no judging for me.
We don't judge on Friday Nightmares. We're all about whatever you choose to do.
Well, we judge each other.
Yeah, well, that's it. We judge each other. It's true.
Yeah, then I only watched, well, I watched technically more, and I'll bring up one of them because it was something you watched last week that's not on this list, but just to kind of redeem myself a little, I ended up watching Girls with Balls, and, well, I had a blast with this movie.
Did you really, or did you only say you did because you have no soul?
I loved this movie.
No soul?
No soul, but I still love this movie. This was just freaking hilarious. I loved every one of the characters. I was not a fan of the coach at first because he was just so over the top and annoying. Yeah. But at the same time, that was his character and he was supposed to be. And as the movie went on, I liked him more.
Did you like his line he gave about deliverance?
Yes, that was great. And just a lot of the movie references they brought up throughout this whole entire thing.
It was so funny. Oh my god, I love that movie. I think if I'm ever having a bad day, I'm gonna put that on Little Monsters.
Yeah, I can see why you would, especially with this movie, because oh my god, like it just was like
it's so goofy, right?
It is. It was just funny as hell. And,
oh man.
Well, once again, French know how to do it because that was another French film, and man, that was a great movie.
My favorite is at the beginning, and this is not too big of a spoiler, but when like they're at the volleyball game and the one girl's talking shit to the other girl about giving her boyfriend a hand job, shit like that. Like it's just funny. Like it's just, I thought it was hilarious. Like I really thought that was something I would do. Like I would be like, yeah. Anyway, I'll try to watch what I say, but I would probably say something worse than that. Some chick if I was smack talking, but anyway.
I was wondering if people were wondering what was wrong with me because I was watching it at work with the overdubbed, and I'm surprised no one heard me cackling in my office while I was working.
Shit, was it funny, right? That line about deliverance, and I know you've seen it, Deliverance, so that's why I thought you kind of love that line.
That was great. It was, that was, so anyone that hasn't seen Girls with Balls, it's on Netflix, check it out. Don't look it up on Google like one of our friends did, because you get different types of videos.
Well, or you could do that too. Whatever.
Or if you want to do that. I mean,
we don't judge at Friday Nightmares. We don't judge.
Nope. I'm just giving heads up that may not be what you're looking for if that's what you're typing in. But then one that I ended up checking out that my buddy Randall suggested I see is The Last Lovecraft, Relic of Cthulhu. Ugh. Yes.
Oh.
This one I think you would love because it's more horror comedy, and it's not like the, it's so deep Lovecraft stuff.
And it's a monster that nobody understands.
Exactly.
The ending's so deep.
Yes. It is literally none of that. It's basically this guy realizes that he is the ancestor of H.P. Lovecraft, and he is.
Oh my god, it's like your dream come true.
God,
Are you sure this isn't like Scott Crawford's movie?
No, I would probably be the friend that. I would be the friend in this movie that's dressed in cardboard armor LARPing.
Yeah, is not the last Scott Crawford Relic of.
Relic of Gremlins.
That's too funny. I mean, we're not taking ourselves seriously. Scott, you need to be more serious, okay?
Oh, sorry, serious face. But no, this is a horror comedy, and once again, another one that I was laughing my ass off. It had a couple recognizable faces from like sitcoms and other shows that I've seen. But yeah, they're just these slacker guys that the apocalypse is coming, and one of them finds out he's the son of Lovecraft, or not son, but ancestor of Lovecraft, and he is the only savior of the world. And he didn't know if he had this relic that these guys are after to summon Cthulhu and bring Cthulhu back to the world. And it's just these really silly shenanigans. They go and meet this guy that is a total Lovecraft nerd. So me, once again, and he's like a total nerd that's like all about LARPing and like, I've prepared for this. And he's like, but before we go out and do this, we need to go practice and like prepare for battle, and they're literally beating each other with foam swords, and the
They're
guys
like,
really get
fireball,
into
fireball.
it. I wouldn't have been surprised if he said that type of character, but oh my gosh, it was just so silly and stupid and hilarious, and just had like a lot of knowledge about Lovecraft, so like you could tell these guys are fans of like his material because of the creatures they bring up and mention and stuff. But yeah, I think it's one of those where you would actually enjoy it because I wouldn't call it a actual Lovecraft film in that way.
I don't know.
It's just got like that as the storyline, but like it's not like a deep like horror film like that.
We'll see.
Yeah, we probably won't because you probably never will.
I'm probably never gonna watch it. You know that I'm like.
I suggest movies and I'll say I suggest movies to Heather, and she'll go, that's nice. Yes, I'll watch those. And I know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I do watch some that you suggest.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you do.
But other ones, I'm like, that sounds like something that I eventually watched The Void, and you know, saw what happened there. So
right,
you know, which is yet again a good film, just not my jam. Anyway, let's.
And I got one more.
Right? Yeah.
So this one, oh boy. America the movie in so many ways.
Team America, fuck yeah.
Coming again to say the motherfucking day, yeah. But this one, we went with theme for, you know, our zombie films. So I watched this one, and it was Uncle Sam from 1996. I've seen the VHS cover for this one for like ever since I was a little kid, and I had no idea what it was about, and realized, oh, it's about a zombie war veteran who dresses in an Uncle Sam outfit, and it happens during a like way over the top 4th of July celebration.
During the 4th of July? Wow, so unique.
Right? So it's like America spewed up all over this film.
Oh man, it sounds like such an original film.
Oh, it so is, but here's where it gets really American, because Uncle Sam, because the character's name is actually Sam, and the main character is a little kid, and it's his uncle. So of course, Uncle Sam. But he ends up dying from I think friendly fire or something like that, and then these punk kids end up burning an American flag that was draped over his coffin, and you know it's a disgrace being an American if you see your American flag getting stomped on or burnt. So the veteran comes back to life to enact revenge on everybody, and it is done by the director of Maniac, William Lustig, which is a completely different style for him. But this was very cheesy, but at the same time, I would recommend it if you're in for just turn your brain off and watch. I thought it was going to be more a horror comedy, and it actually took itself seriously, which made it even funnier to me.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I will. It's probably more likely than the Lovecraft stuff.
But I would recommend just like giving it a watch. It's just entertaining and just a silly zombie movie.
Oh boy. Oh man, these gems.
Right.
Checked out.
This is the stuff that happens when we do our first time watches only challenge. You find some of these special gems.
Yep. I also watched Bats from 1999, but I didn't really feel the need to talk about that, except for some of because we talked about it on our Creature episode, but I hadn't seen the movie. And I finally watched the movie, and it was like so 99 like special effects. It wasn't bad though. You know, I enjoy those little silly creature features. I really do. Like,
so do I.
Expectations of them, but yeah, the rest of the time it's just been Zombie Party. Like, I feel like when we agreed to do zombies as this episode, I was like, double down on them zombie movies. And like, I think
you were. Yeah, I'll say I think you were more in on watching themed movies this time than you ever have been.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like, so I'm like, motherfucking zombies, son of a bitch, I'm in. For anyone that watches Rick and Morty, that's from that show.
Yep, son of a bitch, I'm in.
Fuck, that's such a good show. Anyway,
no, it's not. It's not funny. No, just kidding.
I was going to say, you probably don't find it funny. You're like, actually, I don't really like Rick and Morty. I don't find it funny.
No,
I'm Scott Crawford, and I have no sense of humor.
I actually find that show hilarious. A bit overrated to some people, but I still love it.
Overrated? Like, you think people think it's better than it actually is?
Oh, yeah, because some people. Not like you, because you don't talk about it all the time, but there's people that just won't shut up about it that I'm friends with, and I'm like, all right, guys.
Would it be like if someone talked about Gremlins a lot?
No. Not at all.
Or what's that other one you love? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Is it like that?
No, because I only bring that up every once in a while. These this like they find a way to bring it into every conversation I have.
Oh, so they'll be like, so anyway, I was going to the store. Did you know when Rick and Morty?
Exactly. I've seen some Pickle Ricks, man. Oh my god.
Oh, Pickle Ricks. That's funny. We should do a Rick and Morty. The one where Scary Terry.
Yes.
We should bring that into some stuff. Oh man. Anyway. All right. We should get into our podcast. So what we've been listening to.
Yes.
I'm just going to enter into this. So, as we know, Venom, the king of podcasts, has joined one of the queen of podcasts. So, Rebecca Reinhardt has been running In the Mic of Madness for quite a while now. She's up in the 30 episode range. And she also works with Brad Thornton, who I don't really know. Do you know Brad?
No.
No?
Is he the one that recently quit the show? Or
No, he's on there still.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason left, and so Venom has replaced Jason, and they are doing a Friday 13th, or they've done a Friday 13th retrospective. And let me tell you, Scott, you are a Friday 13th fan. Rebecca knows her shit. Like,
I believe it.
She knows stuff about Friday the 13th, and I was listening to this podcast, and I was like, damn, girl, like, where did you learn that? She's also an indie actress, and she's very knowledgeable on the indie scene, and I feel like she has like a lot to offer from that side of the coin as well, and she ties that into the podcast. But if you are looking to learn about Friday the 13th and go into great, retrospective about the movies, because one of the things that I find is so cliche is that people will always cover Friday the 13th movies. So they'll cover the big franchises. And what I appreciated for this show is Rebecca went into a deeper level to talk about, the exact cities where things were filmed, and where Annie was exactly when she was walking, where she was picked up by Mrs. Voorhees. And she even went to talk about the motorcycle that was used by Ralph and how it's still in that city.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, still, or that town, or whatever you want to call it, right? So really great podcast. It's an independent podcast. You can find her on Facebook. And also, I can't remember the server that it's on, or where she finds it. I downloaded it through Pod Addict for myself, but I'll include the links to Scott, and I would really recommend checking it out. It's another lady horror fan, so I'm always supportive of my women in horror. And she knows her jam, man. And Venom is great. We all know and love Venom from many, many shows, and I enjoy Brad as well. I think Brad's great on there as well.
Who's this guy Venom you keep talking about? Like,
oh, he's some dude.
Just some dude. He only does 40.
He's the anti-Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that yes. Yeah. Okay.
Now you know.
I love you, Venom. So yeah, I guess we'll jump into the podcast I decided to go with, which we should both feel kind of ashamed on this one, Heather.
Oh, I feel ashamed already.
The show is on Legion, and I had no idea. And but it is Desmond's Flicks. We actually recently met Desmond through doing one of our trivia nights about a month ago or so, and he was such a nice person, and I had heard of him, and I've through the podcasting community, and such a great person to talk to. So I finally decided to look up his podcast once I realized what the name of it was, and when I heard it was on Legion, I just kind of bowed my head in shame. But he ends up covering horror films, obviously, but he'll have different guests on that you will know through the podcasting community, like Court Psyops. He's had Paul Stevenson on. He's had Darren.
Paul Stevenson. Miss him.
So do I. I miss his show, and I don't see him on Facebook. Well, he's back on Facebook more now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Doing his action figure stuff.
And with his dog.
Yes.
He does a lot of running, right?
Yes, he does. And it makes me, I feel exhausted watching him. But then, yeah, he's also had, and he's also had Darren from the Psychosemantic podcast on here, which is also another great show, and also another fellow Legionnaire. But yeah, Desmond actually just recently released episode 49, so he's been doing this for a little while. It looks like he's bi-weekly show, and he just did an interview with the directors of Becky and Cooties, which I listened to today, which was really awesome. He's a fantastic interviewer, and I learned a lot about the more behind-the-scenes stuff about that film. from the directors, which the directors were also very just really cool people to listen to and talk, hear the conversation back and forth. Yeah, I highly recommend this show because he does interviews, he does reviews. Like he did a Christmas episode with Court Psyop where they did a Christmas Horror Story, and I forget the other one, but they did reviewed 2 different films together, and like that was a really fun episode to listen to. And yeah, I highly recommend the show. He's very well knowledged in the horror genre, and he's just got like this great, easy to listen to voice.
Awesome. We'll definitely check him out.
Yep,
Love you, Desmond.
Yep, Desmond, you're my boy. I hope to one day work with you. But yeah, so that is the end of our what we've been watching, and what we've been listening to, and we will take a quick break and promote another show. But when we come back, we will be talking about zombies, the reality, and fantasy.
And we're going to sing the song from Cranberries.
Yes. Zombie, zombie, zombie.
This'll keep it quiet. Oh, hi there. I didn't see you. You caught me cutting a new show. I'm Bo Ransdell, and I'm one of the many creators you can find on Legion Podcasts. I said quiet! My fellow podcasters and I work hard to bring you the best in horror podcasting, but that comes at a cost.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Not that, but also yes. No, what I'm getting at is that there are server costs, costs for good microphones and software for editing, all the things that make our shows, fun to listen to. And you can help. If you're enjoying the shows on legionpodcasts.com or in the Legion Network available on iTunes and Stitcher, just about anywhere you can download a podcast, really, you can help us out and get a little something for your trouble at patreon.com/Legion Podcasts. For just $2 a month, you get a pair of movie commentaries exclusive to Patreon, and for $5, you can also join us for a monthly screening of a movie. All of that available on patreon.com/Legion Podcasts. We appreciate it, and thank you for listening. Now, back to the cutting room.
And welcome back. We are going to jump into our main topic of our show today, which is zombies, the reality and fantasy. So the first thing I wanted to bring up on this is the definition of the word zombie. A zombie, which is Haitian French, also zombie as Z-O-M-B-I, Haitian Creole, or zombie. It is a fictional undead corporeal revenant created through the reanimation of a corpse. Zombies are most commonly found in horror and fantasy genre works. The term comes from Haitian folklore in which a zombie is a dead body reanimated through various methods, most commonly magic. Modern depictions of the reanimation of the dead do not necessarily involve magic, but often invoke science fictional methods such as carriers, radiation, mental disease, vectors, pathogens, parasites, scientific accidents, etc. The English word zombie was first recorded in 1819 in History of Brazil by the poet Robert Southey in the form of zombie, Z-O-M-B-I. The Oxford English Dictionary gives the word's origin as West African and compares it to the Congo words Nzambi, which is God, and Zumbi, which is fetish. A Kimbundu to Portuguese dictionary from 1903 defines the related word Zumbi as soul, while at later Kimbundu Portuguese dictionary defines it as being a spirit that is supposed to wander the earth to torment the living.
Also known as Scott Crawford.
No, that's to torment the heather.
I like it. So yeah, zombies are such a popular subgenre, and I think, Scott, you were the one that said that you were tired of this subgenre.
Yeah, I go through phases with this genre, like, because it, especially like right after the popularity of Walking Dead hit, it just was zombie after zombie after zombie movie, and like anybody can pretty much make a zombie film. Like that's like the go-to low budget thing to do, and some of them can be really good, and then some others can just be really terrible.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and we'll get into the fact that anybody can make one as we go through our movies. I find that this is an area that is very easy to watch.
It is.
Generally speaking, though I did challenge myself to watch, I would say, some more advanced zombie films that look at more social context, and some more emotional issues. Though you can argue that Night of the Living Dead was about, even though it wasn't intended to be, it became very much a reflection of society too, right? So
definitely did.
Right. So I think that it's really an interesting subgenre, and it's part of our survival episodes that we've been looking at. So last week, I would say last week, like we recorded last week. Last time, we talked about survival in specific areas, and now we're looking at survival in zombie films. So, how do you survive a zombie film? How are zombies reflected? Where do they come from? And Scott and I will be doing some back and forth conversations on it. So, but let's start with why we got fascinated. So before The Walking Dead, before any of that, there's an article where a Stanford scholar explains why zombie fascination is very much alive. And you can find this through the Journal of the Humanities at Stanford. And we have a link in our podcast to it. And why zombies? So modern obsession with zombies to the survivalist mentality developed after the Second World War. The fascination with the end of the world can be traced to the events of nuclear warfare, or I want to say the looming nuclear warfare, because there was really no nuclear war done back on the United States.
Right.
The United States was really the aggressor in that situation. And of course, we could go into debates as to why they chose to do that. And we will not do that on this podcast, though I could, because I did take American history when I was in university and happen to know a lot on the subject. But I digress. So basically, if we look at the horrific events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which I think you're probably familiar with, Scott.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Like, what happened to those people is unspeakable.
Oh, it's horrible.
And the effects that they are still feeling. This wasn't a one-time thing. So a decision that was made had a huge impact. So the reality of this was that mass destruction became a reality, and the terrible violence of the Holocaust, which, if we look at that event as well, it is the true horrors. Those are two events when we look at nuclear bombs and Holocaust, of true horrors of society, and the cruelty that the human race is capable of. And other events brought up the disturbing realization that we have a very high level of violence in our society. Now, we could go back to the Roman days where gladiators would fight each other and for entertainment. That occurred as well too. But I think if we look at in recent years, within the last 200 years, these are some events that really stand out. So events within the 20th century, along with the movement to increase environmental awareness, has caused a lot of doubt about the consequences of our development as a modernized society. Instead, we are left with this cultural fixation on our own death, and very specifically mass-scale destruction. So we tend to be very obsessed with the idea of mass-scale destruction, which I feel like COVID has kind of fostered to a little bit.
You can definitely say that.
Right. Now, we don't have COVID zombies walking around, but there's definitely a fear level that reminds me sometimes of a zombie film. Not that it's not ungranted. COVID is a very dangerous thing, and I'm not at all downplaying it, but I just find there's similarities.
Oh, very, very similar.
Right. So using a fictional narrative, not only to emotionally cope with the possibility of impending doom, but even more importantly, perhaps to work through the ethical and physiological frameworks that in many ways are left shattered in the wake of World War II. So basically, World War II changed this world. It changed, when we look at world wars, and we look at World War I, and we look at the cause of World War I, and we look at the cause of World War II, it was two very different causes for both of those wars. And the Second World War changed the face of every country, I would say, across this planet. And it really did create that fear of overall violence. It really pulled onto our ethics and what we believed was right or wrong. And to this day, I think there's a lot of debating about what occurred from that war and the aftermath of it, of what was right and wrong. Was there decisions that were made, right? So very, very historically based, and we create zombies and this world-ending fear to kind of help us deal with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And we use fiction all the time to help us deal with issues, right? Horror movies and stuff like that are that safe way of being scared. Like we talked about last week with the survival films, when we see people getting lost in the desert or in the forest and they're trying to fight to survive, we can put ourselves in their situation without actually putting ourselves in their situation. And that provides an escape, it provides a fantasy of some kind. And I think zombie films, is what we're arguing, does the exact same thing.
Oh, it definitely does. And
right?
like, I think there was a thing that I read a long time ago, but like people are afraid of zombies for the fact that zombies represent our animalistic natures.
Absolutely. And it ties into being able to survive. And it's not only the survival of ourselves that we're concerned about, it's the survival of the human race in general, right?
Yeah.
And where will we go and how will we foster from here? So it's interesting because it kind of, these movies float back and forth between very individualistic concerns to group concerns, which is always fascinating when you look at psychologists and sociologists, because psychologists will always argue for the individual's preference and what they view, and sociologists will talk about the needs of the group. So I think that it's a very interesting concept that zombies pull on, and that's a very deep look into the zombie genre. But if we look at where it's got popularity from, the original Night of the Living Dead came out in the 60s, which is just not that far off of the completion of World War II and that generation growing up with the fear and the understanding of what the end of World War II meant, right?
Yeah.
So very, very fascinating. So zombies are an important reflection of ourselves. The ethical decisions that the survivors have to make under duress and the actions that follow those choices are very unlikely anything that would have done in the normal state of life. 100%.
Yep.
And I think we saw a smidgen of that when there was suddenly an announcement, and I can only speak to Canada and United States, where we were restricted our movement, right? So COVID-19 did restrict our movement. We could no longer go to restaurants. We could no longer go to the movie theater. We could no longer go to the gym. We were limited to the groups of people that we were supposed to be in. Now, enforcement was done, at least in Canada, through bylaw. So, much like if you park your car in a place that you shouldn't park, you get a bylaw ticket. So if bylaw saw you in a group of like 10 people out at a park going on the playground, you were going to get a ticket. It's not like you were going to be beaten because you were
right.
Right. So, even with that small sample, we had people acting very individualistic, some of them, like hoarding items out of fear that for some reason supply chains would be cut off, that it was going to be like a zombie apocalypse and everyone was going to get so sick with this virus that there was going to be no ability to bring in food or supplies. If we really look at like the base level of what was happening there, that's what it was happening. There was a fear of, I will not be able to access things, which is such a first world thing.
Oh, it is. It really, really is.
We are so lucky that we can go to the grocery store, we can go to Walmart, we can go to wherever and have access to whatever we need. There are people that live in various countries. We look at the continent of Africa, and if we were to dissect each of those countries, we would see poverty that we can't even imagine, as Americans and Canadians, right? Just for an example. And I'm just using that continent and specific countries in there as an example. So I think that's really interesting that we're seeing a sample of this. And then you had the people that were concerned for others, that were, setting up foundations for food banks and trying to find ways that people could donate or support seniors that couldn't get out. So
and you had
people that split it.
Yeah, and you had neighbors coming and checking on other neighbors just to make sure they're okay, and if they needed supplies, they'd go get them for them. This is exactly how the human race would react in a zombie apocalypse. You would have the individuals that are all about themselves and trying to just provide for themselves and their family, and you have the others that are willing to risk themselves and getting sick to help others and to make sure others are safe. It is so a zombie movie without the actual zombie.
And it's interesting, and we're not a political podcast, so I'm going to dance a little bit into this area and not go fully in, how structures of healthcare systems really reflect that. Canada, we have a socialistic healthcare system. You get sick, there was protection that was laid out for you very clearly that you would not lose your job. There was money that you could access. You don't have to pay anything to go to the doctor. There isn't a vaccine, so it's just basically taking time off, or you're admitted into the hospital and that's not of cost. You can go on a ventilator here in Canada and you're not going to be out of pocket. It's not a thing, right? It's very different in the United States.
Yeah, because here we got the free testing, but if you're wanting to be cured of it or like just being taken care of at the hospital, there was someone, I didn't really look into the details of what exactly was entailed, but someone got $1 million hospital bill for being cured of COVID. Here.
And, I think if we look at, and I don't want to become too political here, but I think it's important with, your election coming up this year that people look at the bigger picture and to understand that it would be like just us testing to see if someone's a zombie or not and then letting them go free.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and we were talking about this like just in our personal conversations before, but like how Americans are afraid to call in sick because some places don't get sick days and are taken care of, so they will end up coming into work with the illness or sickness. And like we actually had like rules here in the US, like once COVID hit like big time, we're like, all right, every company in the world was going, all right, if you are feeling sick, do not come in. Like the companies were actually like paying out of pocket to keep people home during this, which is good to see. But I mean, before all this, like, yeah, someone could have had the flu and they couldn't afford to call in and their bosses wouldn't let them have the day off. So they'd come into work and infect everybody else.
And I would say Canada has the same, okay? Like, I don't want to put Canada as this golden, like if you're working at Starbucks and you can't, and you're sick, you're not being paid that day, right? Like that's reality. But I think the difference is you're not out of pocket to go in and get treatment at the hospital.
Right.
Like, and we do have programs for children to get medicine. And if you go to the doctor and you don't have benefits, which it doesn't cost you anything to go to the doctor. So you're going to the doctor for free. That doesn't cost you anything. So if you can't get benefits, they'll find a way. There's a way that they try to make sure people can get medicine. It doesn't work out all the time, but there is a way, right? If you go to the ER and you need treatment, they will give you treatment. It doesn't matter if you are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident and you have a health card in the province of Ontario, you are going to get treatment. And I think that, before I know we're getting really political here, but if we look at the zombie outbreak thing and we look at how people reacted here, I think it's really important that we look at, we always think of fantasize on how we would be, and that's why The Walking Dead is so popular, and it's safe. Like it's a safe fantasy. COVID wasn't a safe fantasy. COVID happened, right? And even though it's not a zombie apocalypse, and yes, people have passed away, unfortunately, and it's a very sad situation because of that. But I think it really makes us reflect on our own behaviors, and it makes us reflect on what is important and what can be done to better structure, society in general, right? To prevent illnesses from happening again. And these films, though, while going through COVID, provided a great escape for it. That's why they came up with Corona zombies, right? Like that's an escape. That's a way to kind of like deal with the process of having our society completely changed around us. So let's make a cheesy zombie movie. Well, it was already a movie, and let's slap Corona zombies on it, and it gives people something to escape to. Right? So horror does do that as well as try to educate and make us think outside the box.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Right. So anyway, so I also looked at another article. So this was in Live Science, 9 reasons why we have undying interest in the undead. So I'll read them backwards, I think. So I'll start off at number 9 and make it work backwards. So zombie stories make us feel hopeful. Right? There usually is a group of people that survive, in not all cases, but they survive. And in some movies, the human race has been able to overcome. It gives us that kind of hope that anything is possible.
Yep.
Right. Number 8, it's a scary situation that we think we could handle.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, though, like the reality of what's gone on in the world shows that maybe some of us can't.
Yeah, I think that, it's really taught us that when you have the herd mentality of panic, people react in different ways. Like, I think if we, we'll get into zombie movies more, but if you look at some of the opening scenes of Train to Busan and the panic, I think that's absolutely 100% what would happen.
Oh, absolutely. And like kind of the same thing with the Dawn of the Dead remake with the opening of that. Like,
yes.
The panic.
Absolutely, right? So, I think that now there's some people that are very resourceful, and certain things occur where you go, yes, I would do the same thing, or yes, we could be able to handle this. I think it does provide some hope there as well, but it also opens up our eyes to how humans actually behave.
Yeah.
Number 6, we like fear. Well, that's why we're horror fans.
Yeah.
We like that adrenaline rush of being afraid, but in a safe atmosphere. Number 5, we're attracted to violence. We've already talked about that. There's an animalistic side of all humans, which is part of it includes violence, which is why we enjoy it. Number 4, we are intrigued by the art of survival. And I think that's where the whole survival horror comes in. You know, that's why we have all these survival movies that we talked about last time of people getting lost in the woods, stuck in the ocean, in the desert, in the cold, whatever, and people surviving it gives us inspiration, right? We get, because we can picture ourselves yet again safely in that situation. And that gives us a sense of fantasy and escape.
And once again, survivalists would be the type of people you would want in this situation. So like Kenneth.
Yes.
Like, Kenneth would be like the survival specialist that we would want to be around because he would know how to like survive during all of this.
Not Scott and I. Next one.
Once again, we're not going to give tips on how. Well, I mean, we kind of will later.
We will, but if you want to take them seriously, you can. If you
right.
think that this is like, you know, this isn't Zombieland 3 here, okay, guys? Like, don't keep your expectations low. I ain't no Jesse Eisenberg, and you are definitely no Woody Harrelson.
Oh,
so...
oh, come on! I was just gonna say I'm totally Harrelson.
No, Scott. No, you're not even Asylum Harrelson, okay?
I'm always looking for Twinkies. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So zombies. So number 3, zombies respect a need to connect with. A need to humanity. Respect a need to connect with humanity. That's interesting how they wrote it, but anyway. So yeah, like I think zombies take us back to that basic human nature, and even in some, I think it's Land of the Dead where the zombies start to unify.
Yeah.
I always like that one, even though that movie's kind of like the remake's kind of it's not that good. I like how they unify. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, like and it's a continuous thing throughout Romero's films, especially like Dawn to Day to Land, because you see them zombies learning and kind of getting back their human nature again. And I think Land of the Dead was like the culmination of that, where they've learned to work as a team in groups and learn how to use tools.
Which is really, it's a cool concept, right? It's looking back to basic human development, which is really funky.
Yeah.
So zombies are more thrilling than they are terrifying. Yeah, absolutely. I think the thought of like zombie shit, just it makes people love it. Like zombie costumes, zombie runs, like there's so many examples of where people just love zombies. They just think it's the coolest shit ever, and probably for all the reasons we talked about. Safe escape is a situation that we think we can handle and maintain, and it's a fantasy.
Yeah, and zombies I probably would say are the most popular of the horror genre.
I think, and are also in the mainstream too. I think that people are more likely to recognize what a zombie is and think it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when I say zombies, though, I think they think of the slow-moving ones, not the crazy mofos from Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, or 28 Days Later.
Or 28 Days Later, the Rage Virus and stuff. It's Rage Virus, I think it's called. But yeah, and then finally, we enjoy the concept of the end of the world. We like thinking that there's going to be an apocalypse and that there's going to be no turning back. And this is it.
And hell, that is once again something that we're kind of living through right now. Everyone's like, oh, 2020 is the end of the world because of everything that's happened.
And like, what's happened? Yeah, okay, there was a virus and you weren't allowed to go to the movie theater.
Right. But yet people are calling it like the end of the world. It's like, nope, just a rough year.
Well, and it's not even that rough of a year. Like, let's be real talk here, Scott. So I could only order takeout. And I could just go to the grocery store, but I had Netflix. I had the right to video chat with whoever I wanted. Basically, our governments just said, look, we don't want this virus spreading anymore because we don't want our healthcare system to be over capacity, which is what it was about, people. That's what it's about. And we all were like, oh my God, we need all the toilet paper. Right? Like, I find when people say how bad it is, we don't know what bad is. Okay, we didn't live through the Holocaust. We don't know what bad is.
Right.
We weren't in, Hiroshima or Nagasaki when it got bombed. We don't know how bad it is. I think there's one thing to be like, man, this is depressing, which we've all had our days where we feel crummy. But this is nowhere close to the end of the world.
No.
Right? It is first world problems. And we should be thankful we're not in a country like India where they have such a high population base that it's very difficult to control the amount of people that are getting sick and passing away very violently and painfully from this.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, in the murder hornets and I don't know what else, and you know, some political movements, which are all issues that have been around for over 200 years. So again, none of this is new. It's just great that it's finally coming to the limelight, and I hope people follow through with the commitment on it and stick with it. So I think that you're right. People think that this is like the end of the world, but it's such the furthest thing. Like, I'd be much more scared if Dawn of the Dead was to actually happen.
Right.
Like, that to me is way scarier than I can only drive through McDonald's to get my
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Anyway, look at me. I'm so like, we're all goofy, and now I'm all like angry political Heather hat.
we switch back and forth on this show.
We do. We're just all over the place. So yeah. So anyway, we're going to have a general discussion, Scott and I, about different zombie movies, and we've broken them into two different categories. So zombie, just like horror, gives us the safe fantasies, hereby engaging in violence, which sometimes has a sad ending. Dead Snow 2009 is an example of that. The Crazies 2010. The short story in VHS2, A Ride in the Park, which I think you've seen all these that I'm listing off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead 1968, which is actually the saddest ending. The original.
Yeah. That is such a just gut punch of an ending.
And I've seen the 1990 remake, and we'll get into that. I didn't like that one as much. I did enjoy the fact that the main girl, oh my goodness, I can't remember her name. Barbara wasn't as annoying.
No, Barbara was actually a badass.
Yeah, like Barbara kind of like kicked ass and took names, but that was the only part I really liked about it.
No, I love that movie, but like it doesn't have the political message behind it like Night of the Living Dead 68
which
accidentally came across.
Yeah, which wasn't intended. But man, was it. They were just like, he was the best for the role. Right?
Yeah.
Like, which is really pretty progressive.
Yeah, it's very progressive, especially for that time.
Sense, right? So anyway, and then Pet Sematary, the 1990 or 2019 story. Neither one of those have happy endings.
No, especially the original is just such a film full of dread with the atmosphere. And it's like, I feel like just depressed when I watch that movie. I love that movie, but to this day, like the dread of that film and the suffering of loss and everything through it is just like so just devastating. You got to be in like the right mental state to watch that film.
The only thing that's good about that movie is it's kind of cheesy. So you don't get as tied into it. Where the 2019 one, you know, I don't shit all over that movie. I thought it was okay. They gave too much away in the trailer, which was a huge mistake. And, you know, maybe we'll get into spoilers more later about it. I just thought the ending was so stupid.
Yeah, like, the ending was very ridiculous.
I remember laughing in the movie theater. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was on a date that day, and me and my date just kind of looked at each other, looked back at the screen, looked at each other, and went, let's get out of here.
Like, it was just so, like, anyway, whatever. Actually, that was the night I did my first podcast ever. I came home and I recorded. Yeah, I recorded with the guys from Kill the Cast.
Nice.
Kenneth and Jay. Yeah, you know, it was my first time.
You always remember your first.
You always remember. Well, yeah. Anyway, stories that are based on heroes with sacrifice. So these are the ones where, you know, we get that great sacrifice. And Train to Busan, oh my God, there's one sacrifice in this movie that one of the main characters make where you're just like, like you got to be a monster to not feel for that dude.
Yeah, I was bawling like a baby throughout this movie.
Oh my God. And it's so, the characters in this are just, we'll get into Train to Busan later because it's such a solid movie. I put Night of the Living Dead 1990 because we kind of already alluded that there is a hero that comes out of that one, and there is some sacrifice that occurs 28 days later. I'm not sure if you remember the father.
I vaguely do.
Yeah, there's a scene, so spoiler, where the father gets blood in his eye, and he's about to turn.
That's the scene I remember.
Right. So that is a very, you know, emotional. And then Cargo, 2017, is another movie of sacrifice where there is a survivor, but many people are sacrificed in order to make it through. So, you know, there's definitely two types of zombie movies, and I refer to them as the double S's, the serious and the silly. Okay, so you're either finding a zombie movie that has a serious tone to it, or you're finding a zombie movie that is silly. Now, silly ones may still have some political stuff in there, but generally speaking, they tend to be a little bit more funny. So we're going to look at the 3 different subcategories that we broke it into where zombies come from. So we're going to start off with the first one, which is Rise from the Grave. And we're going to talk about the Night of the Living Dead original. So moving forward, these movies will have spoilers. So every movie that we bring up, Scott will put a footnote for the movies. It's pretty easy because I've kind of listed them all here, so he just has to copy and paste them. But we will be sharing what happens in these films. So if you have not seen these films and you're concerned about spoilers, there will be some spoilers. So let's start with the original Night of the Living Dead. Scott, I know you are a huge fan.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Romero's, especially the Dead trilogy, and even some of his later films, minus Survival of the Dead.
So tell me what you like about these movies. If you want to do it the original series first, what did you think was done well? What kind of ties into our fascination with zombies? Like, just your thoughts in general.
Well, one thing I love about George Romero's, I'll go with the original trilogy first, is that he makes the zombies the backdrop. It is very character focused, and obviously that has inspired over the years many other films to kind of copy that formula where it is all about human survival and humans working forced in a situation where they got to work together, and usually that ends up not being a good situation. And especially with Night of the Living Dead, with Barbara, Ben, I forget the guy and his wife that are in the basement with their sick daughter.
I believe one of them's name is George.
George, yeah. Like, especially in that situation in the first one, because there's a lot of racial tensions, mistrust from George, and ways to survive in a isolated
No, it's
farmhouse.
Harry. It's Harry.
Harry, thank you.
Helen and Karen.
Okay, yep. And yeah, this one is they shows the tension between the 2 different groups of survivors in this house on how to hold off on the zombie apocalypse. Do we lock ourselves in the basement and just hide out the entire time? Or do we stay upstairs, just barricade everything, and just, fight off the hordes as they're coming up to the door? That's always a question that will be brought up in a lot of zombie films. And, pretty much George Romero is the grandfather of the horror genre, or the zombie genre.
And I think the scene that really sticks out to me, and it's so famous, is that opening graveyard scene with Johnny and Barbara. And I can't remember why they're there. I think they're
going to visit, I think it was their mother's
grave, right?
Yeah.
And it would have been interesting does her mother come back as a zombie?
No, I don't believe she does.
She probably decomposed too much. She's probably old and probably was decomposed. But I really enjoy that scene where they start coming out of the ground, because I go for walks every day and I walk by this cemetery. And I'm always like, one day I'm going to walk by, and today will be the day that the zombies rise. And I think that scene was just so smart. It was so smart, because I don't know how many graveyards you've been to. Unfortunately, I've also had a lot of death in my family. So I've buried a lot of people, which death is a natural part of life. I actually don't have a problem talking about death. I have a problem talking about suicide, but I don't have a problem talking about death. And I think that opening scene, man, was it impactful.
Yeah.
And they're coming to get you, Barbara. They're coming to get you. It's just so creepy.
Yeah, and it's such an iconic line, too, that I will always remember, and then even gets used in one of my favorite zombie comedies, Shaun of the Dead.
Yes, which is an excellent comedy as well. And I never, so I have seen the remake to The Night of the Living Dead, which I felt was just a vomitation of the 90s. It
really was.
And I did enjoy that Barbara was a little more badass, but I honestly prefer the original. As much as Barbara annoys me, and as much as it makes me upset that Ben is shot at the end, I still find that movie more realistic to what would happen. The zombies would be moving stiffly. I would probably also barricade myself in the house. I would definitely do my best to arm myself. I think Barbara acted like a typical a hysterical individual that had just lost her brother and was in trauma.
Yeah.
Like, this was like, as much as we all want to be like, oh man, I'd be so calm and cool and collective and totally down with it, I don't think people would honestly act like that. Like, I think maybe eventually you would get there once the shock wore off and you're like, all right, I need to deal with this situation.
Right.
But we
no.
say that also, we say that after now having 1 billion zombie movies out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but you got to put yourselves in the character's situation and realize they don't know what a zombie is. They've never seen zombie movies
especially in 1968.
Right, especially in 68, but
like
also
there would have been a little bit of zombie stuff. Isn't that part of the Universal Monsters? Would there been any stuff there?
Not really. No, and I was going to say, and one thing that the zombie genre tends to do a lot, there's only been a few movies, but a lot of the zombie genre tends to pretend that zombie movies have not been a thing.
Yes.
And so people don't know anything about them or what they are. Where zombie comedies, obviously, yeah, because they'll reference, oh, this is like Night of the Living Dead and blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. But
Yes.
But like the more serious ones, yeah, they don't represent, like, people don't know what a zombie is. They've never experienced it, never seen it on screen. So putting them in their put yourself in their shoes in that situation, you're going to freak the hell out. Your brother's dead. You're on your own. You're like, and you're with these complete and utter strangers in this house with what appears to be the dead coming back to life and like surrounding the house. If I was her, I would be freaking the hell out.
Like in 1968, like, yeah, we've said, like, it would be like, what the hell? And we're right on the cusp of, nuclear warfare.
Yeah.
Right? So, excellent film. For those who have not watched The Night of the Living Dead, I definitely think it's, I think as a horror fan, it's a must-see. I really do. And I prefer the black and white version myself. I think there's a colorized version.
Yeah, and it's
yeah, I prefer the black and white. I think the black and white has that true originality to it and reflects the time.
Yep, I actually have a Blu-ray double edition that I got that has the original and the 1990 remake on it on 2 different discs, and I recommend both because the remake is just more of you get yourself a very strong female character that goes through the stress and emotions, but she ends up coming around at the end and becoming a badass. And then you have Tony Todd, so you can't complain there. Tony Todd does an excellent job.
Awesome, yeah.
And but yeah, the original is a lot more hard hitting and scary, but like the remake is also a one to must see.
See, I disagree with you on that. I don't care for the remake as much, but that's okay. And I find and I think it's too female. I would have preferred the original. I just think the remake made Barbara, as much as she's less annoying, and I prefer that, I just don't like it as much, except for Tony Todd being in it, to be honest. But that's, yet again, check it out. 2 very different opinions on the remake, which is good. Sometimes Scott and I always see things eye to eye, but it's nice when we disagree.
Right.
So the next one in the series that I have really any knowledge on, if you want to talk about the other ones, absolutely, is Dawn of the Dead. So the original one is, I think, pretty famous. Like,
yeah,
from 1978, right? And that was the direct sequel, I believe, to The Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, I think this is around the time that I can't remember the name of the guy, but like the person that worked with George Romero on Night of the Living Dead. Because if you notice the change of the title, Night of the Living Dead to Dawn of the Dead,
yes,
the Living Dead part ended up going to this other guy. I forget his name, but he ended up writing and working on Return of the Living Dead, and that's where the Living Dead part. He was allowed to use the Living Dead part there when George and him separated and did their own thing.
And they did their own thing. Okay, that makes sense. So this one is basically based in, a mall for majority of it, shopping center, which a lot of people do go and visit. And it's pretty interesting on how they try to survive, and it kind of shows the motorcycle gang trying to loot and rob the mall as well. And a lot of characters are involved in it. It's a little bit of a slower movie at times. It's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's a very slow burn zombie film.
Right. But I do like the concept of using the shopping center. And I know that was like supposed to be a tie into consumerism at the time and how, we'd become numb to consumerism. But I found that the zombies were very realistic, but the makeup is so simplistic. They basically look like they just splashed some green paint on them and we're like, you a zombie now.
Yeah, but this is like the first time you really get to see the true work of Tom Savini in his early days. With a
Well,
lot
and he
of
was
the
also
violence
in
and
it as
gore.
well as
Yeah.
motorcycle rider. That's his. I love that. That's his that's his credit here on IMDb. But what do you think of this one? As a zombie George A. Romano fan.
I would say like this is a very important film in the horror genre, let alone just the zombie genre. It is well known, very popular. This is where like the true look of the zombie comes from. The societal commentary on this is just great and fantastic with the whole consumerism part, because the dead are coming back to something that they were used to, and at that time, and what was popular were shopping centers.
Well, and it was like that zombie-nism of just buying for the sake of buying, right?
Yeah.
And consuming for the sake of consuming.
And this has one of the greatest lines in horror movie history, and that is, "When there's no more room in the hell, the dead will walk the earth."
Which is also used by the No More Room in Hell podcast.
Yep.
Only they say the dead will start a podcast, which I think is super awesome.
But yeah, that is like one of my all-time favorite quotes. Now, my personal opinion on this movie, I think it's a bit too slow. I respect it. I like the movie, but it is definitely not my favorite of the trilogy.
I do like the slow-moving zombies on how they corner them in at various places in the mall. Like when there's certain mistakes that are made that allows the zombies to follow them up the stairwell to get to the offices that they're hiding in.
Yep.
And where they're being closed in on, and at one point Peter locks himself in the room and he's going to kill himself. Well, Francine gets away and then he changes his mind and he runs out to the helicopter. And you're not sure if he's going to make it. Like,
right.
Honestly, like that scene was really well done because I'm like, oh my God, is this dude going to make it? Because these zombies aren't actually moving that quickly.
No, that is the one thing about these zombies is they are slow and shambling, just like they would be if they were coming from the dead, because the rigor mortis is kicked in, their joints aren't working,
Yep.
Their muscles aren't working nearly as much, they're atrophied, but yeah, like that's what makes them scary though, is just that they are in large numbers and you can be outnumbered if you are not careful.
Well, and you panic, right?
Yeah.
Because they're taking so long to get to you, you think you have more time than you actually do.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're almost triple guessing, double guessing, trying to do other things. It's like when you're trying to get ready to go somewhere and you think you have a lot of time and you start panicking trying to do all these things and you think you can get it done in that time, and then you always fuck something up because
Yep.
maybe that's me anyway. Because you
That's
didn't, right? I feel like that's what this movie represented, is that slow immersion of the zombies. And I think that ending scene with Peter in that room and them coming in and him not sure if they're going to make it to the helicopter or not. It's a really, really great scene.
Yeah, and another thing that this movie is good at representing is, they go to a place that is great for survival with all the like stores in there that they can raid, but the unfortunate thing is they get complacent and comfortable in their safety.
Yes,
and
do.
they do let their guard down a bit.
Well, they make silly mistakes.
Yeah, and
right?
they make those mistakes because they let their guard down and not worry about it. And that ends up being the undoing of some of the characters.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. And then the remake is very different.
Yeah.
Right? To start off with, the zombies are super, super badass.
Yeah, they are freaking fast.
They all look like a bunch of people that did Speed.
Yeah.
They're all like, well, let's fuck shit up. And the opening scene always got to me. And I saw this, I think, in theaters.
So did I.
And I remember, so the woman's a nurse, Sarah Polly, I believe it's a character, but I can't remember her name. I'm just looking it up right now. Anna. So Anna returns home after a long night as a nurse, and her husband are in bed, and they wake up with a young lady a little girl that's in their bedroom, and her husband gets up to kind of be like, oh, sweetie, what's wrong? And she bites him and like balls to the wall.
Yeah, that scene is terrifying.
Right? And I would totally be the husband being bit, because I would approach a child, and I love that they used a child, because I'd be like, oh, sweetheart, what's wrong? And sweetheart would fuck me up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how that shit would go down. And from there, she escapes out through the bathroom and she's running. She flees in her car and it crashes. She passes out. Like, shit happens throughout this film, and it's just bang, 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 bang. So what would you say is the biggest thing that you pull from this compared to the original?
It's just the imminent danger of these zombies. Because, yeah, while the other ones were slow and shambling and, like, were in hordes as well, you could eventually, like, you could outsmart them and outmaneuver them. These ones were smarter and faster, which means you can't outrun them. You have to be, like, in close proximity of some type of safety at all times. If you're left out in the open, you're fucked. And it just made in this movie, it just made the zombies much more of a immediate threat that needed to be taken care of.
And I don't feel like this played on consumerism nearly as much. The mall is in it, but it is not a focus. They do a lot of stuff on the roof.
Yeah, and they treat this more like treat them all more like a playground of, like, things and scenarios.
Yeah, right. I do like the speed of the zombies, but I don't know if that's realistic for people coming back from the dead. I don't know how quick people would be if they were actually risen from the dead. Like, I do feel like the original is a lot more truth to that.
Well, that's the thing about the remake too that I'm not too sure of is, like, because the other ones were, the dead are coming back, and this one, people are getting bit, dying, then automatically coming back.
Yeah, like, it's like this. It's instant.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not like they've been dead forever and are finally rising. Nope, these ones are like the freshly dead are coming back.
Like, in the original, when Karen is bit, it takes a lot of time for her to come back, and I think that does play into more of the realism, but I think the 2004 one was modern day. So if we look at the running time of the 2004 one, let's see here, 100 minutes. So that's just over, what would that be?
Yeah, about an hour and 40. Yeah.
Right? So we've shaved an hour off.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're not getting as much character development. It's pretty quick to the kit chase. And about this ending, I always thought the ending was interesting. So, Anna, Keith, Nicole, and Terry and Chip flee on a yacht.
Yep.
And footage from a camcorder found on the boat shows the group running out of supplies, arrives at an island and is attacked by a swarm of zombie, and the camcorder drops, leaving their fate unknown. What do you think happened to them?
I think that is where they met their untimely demise.
And at some point when you're in this world, I don't know about you, but I'd probably just be like, you know what, fuck this shit. You can't beat him, join him.
I'm done running. I'm done. Well, and
right?
like, what's his name from Land of the Dead? He goes, well, I want to see what the other side's like eventually.
Well, and I feel like Land of the Dead's a little different because they have developed a community.
Yeah.
Like, here, though, you're constantly on the run. Like, a lot of the zombie movies we're going to talk about today, a lot of people are constantly on the run. And how long and what are you running for?
Yeah, because, well, like I brought up on our survival episode, you are constantly on the run and have to, like, think because you're getting tired, find places to hide and rest, because what's chasing you doesn't get tired, doesn't need rest, doesn't need to stop. It will continue to chase.
Yeah, I just think it's a really interesting concept, and we'll get into that more. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the other ones. I haven't watched them. Like, I've only seen the remake Land of the Dead. I haven't seen the other ones to give any commentary on it.
Well, I'll bring up Day of the Dead because that one brought up a different. Like, this is where, like, the zombies start showing some motor functions that were not in the other films. So, like, in Day of the Dead, you are following a group of scientists and military men that are working together in the bunker.
The remake. It was Plainful Bloodlines.
Yeah, don't watch that.
Yeah, I had to shut it off. It was so bad. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, the original Day of the Dead is my favorite of the trilogy. Like,
I'll have to find the original.
It is a very good film, mainly because I'm a huge special effects lover, and the special effects in this are insane, and some of the character development. But this just shows the stress of being forced to work alongside people that don't have the same beliefs as you, and, like, the pressure of, like, being stuck in the situation for probably months to years. But yeah, this is where you see the development of a zombie that is remembering things and learning some of his old motor functions, because he was an ex-soldier, so he remembers how to salute. He remembers how to use a gun. He he learns to communicate by like tapping at something that he wants, and like a scientist is like trying to show him and teach him these things. So
That's
I thought that was really fascinating, because that's when you see the progression into the land of the dead, where zombies have learned how to use tools and are learning to work together.
So it
as a
all
team.
builds on each other, right?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, because I haven't seen them, I can't really comment more on that. But it sounds like it's a good development of bringing back the humanization of it, right?
Yeah.
The next one I want to bring up, and I don't want to talk about it much. I only watched it because your old podcast was named after this, and yeah. Anyway, it was called The House by the Cemetery, 1981, which Scott's podcast is called the former podcast was called The Podcast by the Cemetery. So I just assumed it was a really good movie. And it's not a bad movie. For everyone out there that's going to like freak out at me because I didn't love this movie, the ending was great. The zombie at the end was great. But leading up to it, it wasn't even a real zombie film. So
no, it really
I had
wasn't.
it in here. And anyway, but the zombie technically is someone that was dead and comes back. I don't know if you want to add anything to The House by the Cemetery.
Nah, there's not really much.
It's more of a haunted house film.
Yeah, that's
right.
Pretty much like a haunted house slasher film is how I look at it.
But it is definitely based on coming back from the dead zombies. So let's move right along to Pet Sematary.
Yep.
We talked about it already loosely. I think the biggest I did enjoy that they switched to Ellie being the person or the individual that comes back from the dead. That scene where the father saves Gage in the remake and then Ellie gets hit is sad.
It is.
And you know it's coming. You know it's going to happen, but it's still sad. And I think her zombie look is pretty cool.
Yeah, I just the only thing I didn't like about her in the remake was the fact that she was like the exposition machine and gave like reasons why she's doing the things she's doing now, where when Gage was like the Gage was smaller and wasn't able to speak.
Well, more innocent.
More innocent, and it just made it more terrifying. Where with her, I don't know, it took something away from it. Like it wasn't terrible, but it just took something away from me.
You know, it didn't for me. I'll be honest. I didn't dislike her as
I didn't dislike
the antagonist. I thought that what I didn't like about the remake was the kids with the masks on that were doing their like parade. I thought was beyond stupid. That was not necessary. Yes, did it give a creepy effect? Sure, but it was dumb. Like, what kids are gonna walk around and do that?
Yeah, I think that might have been something from the book, but they never actually like. I thought, and when I seen it in the trailer, I thought there was gonna be more to that in the story, like leading up, and it showed in the beginning, and then it's pretty much there's.
So they just dropped something from the book for sake of dropping it from the book, but didn't give any context.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I do enjoy the idea that it's both movies are based upon bringing an animal back and dealing with grief and being very upset that their cat died and wanting to, like, who wouldn't want to bring their pet back? I think it's
exactly
a normal reaction. But I think that, I've always felt like Zelda, I understand why Zelda was included, but I always never got that part of the story. And I'm sure that's an unpopular opinion. I don't have a beef with it being there. I know it's about grief and stuff, but I feel like that has nothing to do with the outcome.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was, though. Like what you said was, it was just showing another character dealing with a past grief and
like, I
how
feel
they
like,
handle it.
Well, we all know. I think Stephen King did a lot of drugs, my understanding.
He did, yeah.
So I feel like he was just like, let's make this crazy bitch that like get out of bed and has this disease, and we're gonna like super like make it crazy, and this child's left alone to caregive for this person. Like, there's certain parts in it that obviously you need to suspend your disbelief. And I do agree the original Judd, sometimes that is better. Like, obviously there's some classic lines from that 1990 film.
Yeah.
But the acting in it, besides him, it's pretty painful.
Yeah, the parents especially, oh my gosh.
Right? Like, I can say the acting went up leaps and bounds. Yeah. And even when Ellie kills her mother, that scene is very emotional.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Right? I didn't agree with them coming back at the end. All three of them are zombies, and they're coming to get Gage in the car. I really, and the cats, I think, even walking with them. Like,
the cat ends up like at the very end of the scene. The cat jumps on the hood to look in the window at Gage, and the family's right behind it. It's like, oh my god,
Tom, right? And I can't remember the cat's name now. Oh my god, Church, thank you, Winston Churchill. That was the scene that I was like, oh, come the fuck on. Like, what is this? And, props to them trying to do a reimagination of it. I think the acting was better for that one. And I know we're kind of getting into film review, but what I appreciate about those two movies is that they had the balls to use kids. And they had the balls to, in one of them, kill the kid. He dies. And, it's shocking, though, when his wife comes back in the 1991. He's like, oh, shit, yeah, you're back. Awesome. I don't understand. And who is the young man that is hit and killed and is the ghost throughout?
Oh, what the hell is his name? I can't remember his name either off the top of my head. We should look it
up. But him coming back, and both actors were great, but he startled the shit out of me more than anybody else.
Yeah, because he was, especially in the... Because I can't remember in the remake if it showed him all disgusting looking like he was in the original, but man,
Victor,
yes,
Victor.
Yeah, he was the God, what is the term that they call that? But he's one that's giving the warnings: do not go, do not do this.
Yeah, and he kept trying to say to him, and even when he's taken his wife in the original, and he keeps being like, "Don't do it, don't do it," and he's like, "Nope,"
right through him.
No, Lewis is like, gonna do this shit. Gonna pair my wife, and she's gonna come back and she's gonna fuck shit up for everybody, right?
Yep.
But both very good, Rise from the Dead zombie movies talking about grief, had the balls to use children. I give them both props for that. And I don't think the remake is as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
No, it was just okay.
It's just okay. Would I watch it a second time? You know what? If it was on television and I had nothing else to do, probably I would watch it. Yeah. I don't think it's poorly acted. I just think the ending makes me roll my eyes. That's all.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get more into the funny side of things and move to Shaun of the Dead, 2004, which I believe you said is your favorite comedy.
It's my favorite zombie comedy, my all-time favorite.
Oh, that's true, because you don't like comedy. So
my all-time favorite horror comedy now is What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
But this is my favorite zombie comedy of all time. I just love this movie because it pretty much is just a love letter to all of these old school zombie films. And they do it with such care and grace while adding the wonderful sense of humor and character development. Because even though it's funny, it's still sad and scary at times.
It is sad. And the whole dynamic between Sean and his girlfriend Liz and the issues that they're having, and Ed being that awkward best friend that's around. There's some good interpersonal relationships that are there too. And Barbara and Philip. Yep. And the relationship he has with Philip, and eventually what happens to Philip. And the zombies are slow moving in the part where they throw the tire straight. And I love tire strikes, right? So I just find that really funny.
I love that whole scene because it's they're going through their albums and Ed picks up the Batman soundtrack and Sean looks over and goes, "No, put that back. Throw this one instead."
Yeah, it's some really clever English humor that goes through it. And I do think the zombies are very realistic. How people react is, for a comedy, fairly realistic.
Yeah.
And how slow moving they are and how they learn to kill them and stuff. But it's true. It makes an assumption that no one's ever seen a zombie film, which is by 2004, you'd be like, all right, dude, you've probably seen the
a handful at least.
Right? Yeah. And you probably have an idea of what this could be, right? Now, and they don't really give the assumption that they're in shock. And I do believe this is one of the first true full-length comedies to come out. Now, I'm sure zombies have been made fun of before that, different skits and stuff like that. But I believe this is the first full-length comedy one to come out.
Yeah, because there's Return of the Living Dead, but that one's more 80s punk rock horror. I mean, it has a little bit of comedy sprinkled in, but this is more the full-blown, belly laugh style comedy.
Yeah, that's what I would say, too. I really don't have too much to go on about this, to be honest with you. I just feel like it's clever. I do like how he keeps, Sean keeps Ed at the end as kind of a pet.
Yep, play video games with and still be his friend.
Right, and I think the zombies look very realistic. I don't know. Is there something you want to add? I think you're more passionate about this movie than I am.
I would say this one is also just kind of something that just takes that character of working with or putting individuals together in a situation, an awkward situation, like Liz meeting his mother for the first time, and it happened to be during the zombie apocalypse. Then the whole Liz's best friend's boyfriend having a crush on Liz and the jealousy and resentment coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some
Like-
good relationships. This is a really good relationship film, and I think it opened the door for more comedic. I don't think we would have had Zombieland if we didn't have Shaun of the Dead.
No, I was gonna say because
Right?
kind of like George Romero was the grandfather of zombies. Shaun of the Dead was the grandfather of the zombie comedy. Like, because this is when zombie comedies became like a huge popular thing after this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then that leads into Zombieland.
Yeah.
And I think Zombieland is hilarious. I
So do
find
I.
that movie. I'm surprised you do. I'm not kidding. I'm actually
know you are.
surprised you find that funny, because I would have thought you would have hated Jesse Eisenberg's rules for surviving a zombie attack. I would have thought you thought that was the dumbest shit ever. So I am super shocked that you like that.
Yeah, well, once again, my comedy is very hard to pinpoint, but yeah, for some reason, this one works with me. Jesse Eisenberg, I like him because he's like that dorky, nerdy guy. I probably would have had a list of ways to survive. Maybe that's why I enjoyed like his list.
I think you are Jesse Eisenberg in that film.
Yeah, I think I would be exactly that way. That's probably why I like his list and everything like that. And then, I mean, the comedy with Woody Harrelson, like being the badass he is, but like also just like his obsession with trying to like find the last Twinkies
And Wichita and Little Rock
yes.
are such bitches.
Oh, they are. And
Like-
they're not much better in the second movie either.
No, and I thought it was interesting how self-sustaining they were and how quick and fast these zombies were. And in the second Zombieland, they begin to show categories of zombies. And I thought all his rules made sense.
Yeah.
And I think it really I feel like they knew about zombies. I feel like Zombieland was like, yeah, zombies exist. We got what happened. So these are the rules we developed, and there's some background. Because Bill Murray comes out dressed like a zombie that's supposed to be like a funny zombie, right? Like one of those Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead zombies. So I feel like there's some kind of knowledge of the culture in that one, which I do find clever. And the scene where they're at the amusement park, like, what a dumb idea, though. Like, I know and I get that she was trying to cheer up her little sister, and they take her to the amusement park and turn on all this shit. And of course, you're going to attract
every zombie
basically
around.
concept animals here, right? Like, animals are going to see light and noise, and they're going to go to it. And that scene where they're on the ride that blasts off and brings them down and blasts off, like, holy fuck, is it anxiety driven. I actually wasn't sure who was going to survive in that movie. I really didn't know. And I think Shaun of the Dead we can thank for that as well, because Ed gets turned into a zombie.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that movie with Zombieland is you don't know if the four of them are actually going to make it out.
Well, I mean, who would have thought Bill Murray would have got killed off?
No, you know what? And looking back when you do it a second watch, I'm like, yeah, you see that coming.
Yeah, you see it, but like for the first time though, you don't.
No, the first time you don't. And I feel like we have this movie to also thank for. One movie that I really like that Scott probably hates is Warm Bodies. And I didn't put it on here. It's a 2013. Yep, knew it. Scott hates it because he has no taste. But Warm Bodies is a really fun, short little movie. It is a romantic comedy. And it's basically about zombies that all of a sudden get some humanity in them. And of course, it's a little silly on how it happens, but I don't think we would have had Warm Bodies if we didn't have Zombieland. Warm Bodies came out in 2013, and it kind of brought zombies then into more like out of the horror genre into the mainstream. It allowed people to go, I want to watch a zombie film and not be ridiculously scared, but maybe have some scenes that are a little scary, quote unquote. That's what those movies did, which I give them credit for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and like, I wouldn't say I hate this movie. It was just another one that I thought was okay.
Well, we won't go into it because Scott has no taste. So we're going to
do whatever you want
about Dance of the Dead. No, I don't want to be doing a 15-hour podcast on zombies. So Dance of the Dead, 2008. This one is comical. It's a great one to check out. I can't remember where I watched it now. I think I watched it on Prime. I feel like I watched it on Prime, or maybe I watched it on a good friend's Plex, but it came out in 2008, so you should be able to find it. It's basically a low-budget zombie film about zombies that overtake a high school dance prom night, and I find it really funny. And honestly, you're going through this movie, and you're not sure who's going to survive. And some of the main characters get offed. And in one scene, this guy's in love with this cheerleader girl, and he's like the nerd of the sci-fi club. She gets bit. She ends up biting him, and they end up having a zombie makeout session, and it's really fucking funny. And then eventually they get killed because this right-wing gym teacher ends up leading them to secure this. Like, it's very much a product of its time from 2008 because you see the Confederate flag in it, and I hate the Confederate flag, but at least in this film they're kind of making fun of it, so I'm fine with it. But yeah, it's a fun little movie. It's definitely comedy based. The zombies are slow moving. They kind of have an idea what they are because they come back in a graveyard. The first scene you see is this couple parked at a graveyard or cemetery, and the zombies come up. So it's very resonant, like very much Night of the Living Dead inspired, but fun. It's a fun film. If you enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, I would put this more in the category of Shaun of the Dead than I would Zombieland. I almost feel like Zombieland and Warm Bodies kind of dance in a little bit of the same circles.
Yeah,
So,
I can see that.
right. And then you have one to talk about here as well.
Yep, I figured I'd just bring this one up briefly, but it's 1979's Lucio Fulci's Zombie, or Zombie 2, Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Dawn of the Dead 2. Like, there's multiple titles when it comes to the Italian horror films. But this one, it's about zombies that had gotten brought back by a Haitian curse, and that, which is kind of funny since, like, or actually, yeah, I think it was Haitian, but like Haitian curse, so it like fits with the whole where zombies came from originally. And this ship comes back to the mainland of America and has this main character's father in it who is a zombie. So they end up going back to this island to try to figure out what the hell happened and why her dad was coming back to life. And like the story just unravels from there. But this is like one of the first representations of a true, like, showing really old dead bodies coming back to life. Like it's got one of the most iconic zombies ever, I think, and that is the very decayed zombie on the cover of the DVD and Blu-ray, where it's got like the maggot and mealworms coming out of its eye holes, and there's like it has no eyes and it's rotted. Like, and a lot of these zombies like on this island are from the Spanish Inquisition. So they're still wearing old Spanish armor, like the armor from the Spanish Inquisition and all that. So I just thought I'd kind of bring that up because, yeah, it was like that one's like the true coming back from the dead. Like even the old dead are coming back in this one, and it's because of a curse instead of like a bite.
Excellent. I haven't seen it, but it sounds like it falls more to the traditional idea of zombies, and we have that to thank for the development in the makeup and the look of zombies that we see now.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that one up briefly for that one.
Awesome. So our next subgenre of zombie, quote unquote, which I don't even know if these are zombies. It's infection.
Yeah.
But they get thrown into the subcategory of zombies, but are they really zombies? And I think there's a debate about this in the horror community because we debate everything. So I'm fine with throwing them in. I don't really care. I would never be like, no, that's an infection movie and that's a zombie movie and they don't belong together. I do think that the source is different, but I don't know if these movies, like, they kind of follow the same plot line.
They do.
Right?
Like there isn't too much difference, like, besides like obviously like the way that the disease is transmitted type deal.
Right. So first one we're going to talk about is The Crazies that came out in 2010. Now, I believe there's an original The Crazies, and I don't think I've seen that.
That's also a George Romero film.
And have you seen it?
I have not seen that one.
Okay. So we, unfortunately, from 1973, The Crazies, we will not be able to talk about that one because Scott and I are bad people and we haven't seen it. So we will just be talking about the 2010. Another short running time, an hour and 41 minutes. I wonder if the George A. Romano one was longer. This one did pretty good, I think, for a follow-up. It made 55 million US with a budget of 20. So that tells me that it probably did pretty good comparably to the original. I didn't give the stats for the other one because I was just curious because we haven't seen the original Crazies if this one was received well, because I think a lot of times people don't like to watch remakes.
Right.
They have, we all know horror community people get really up in arms about it. And I figured because you hadn't seen The Crazies, I was beginning to think this was more of a cult classic, which means people get even angrier if it's remade. So.
Yeah. And I think you're pretty much right on the head with that. I think it is more considered a cult classic.
Right. So I'm sure there's lots of people that are like, it's the best movie ever. And they're mad that we're talking about the 2010, but I enjoyed the 2010.
So did I.
A lot. I thought one of the opening scenes at the baseball game, it's a local small community and you got this sheriff and it seems like not much goes on in the town. They kind of just basically dealing with your basic hooligans, maybe some knocking over mailboxes and some other mischief like that. And they're at this baseball game and one of these guys is acting real crazy and the sheriff is forced to shoot him. And things just go from there. And his wife is the town doctor, and she starts noticing that stuff is happening. People start acting real weird. And eventually you find out that it comes from the water supply. And when they figure that out and they go to the mayor to do something, the mayor's like, no, I'm not going to do anything about this. It's going to look bad, and we don't need the publicity, and da-da-da-da-da. Very realistic.
Yeah.
Look at the Flint water issue.
Right? That is so true.
Not to attack your area, Scott, but when I see this movie, I think of Flint. Not because I think of a whole bunch of crazy people running around Flint, but because I think of that mayor's reaction to being like, prove it's the water. You can't prove that it's the water. It's fine, everything. And not wanting to do a single thing about it. And saying, if you do something about it, you're going to be in trouble. Like, I don't want anything to be done here. And then, of course, it escalates to the point where the army is called in, and eventually people are just... genocide occurs, right? They basically kill off everybody who they think could be affected, and they try to like give the impression that maybe you'll be saved if you're not.
Yeah.
People's temperatures and stuff like that. It sounds very familiar to now.
So does.
And I always thought that this movie was definitely falls more into the realm, I would say, of science fiction, but I think that it's a really good film of what would probably and the closest that we're seeing right now to COVID. Obviously, yet again, I'm not saying COVID is like this, but if we had an infection to this level that was from the water that would make people this sick, I really feel like this is what would happen. Like, I feel like it's like, yep, that's how it would go down.
Very realistic.
Yeah, and I think that's, yet again, that best fantasy of horror. And I'll be honest, I don't think I would survive this situation. I think I am very trusting of authority, and I think I would go to this army thing and not realize that I was going to get killed. I would get put into that truck thinking I was going to live, and basically people were just killed. And I get why they made those decisions. As angry as you are, I understand the bigger picture of it.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very good movie. Did you have anything you wanted to add? I kind of went on a rant there.
No, I'll say I think you pretty much covered everything, because this is one of those I seen once a long time ago, and like around the time that it got released. So like certain key scenes I remember, which were the ones you brought up. I don't remember the rest very well.
I just, I remember that opening scene with the baseball diamond and the reaction of David the sheriff and just, or even the doctor when she's seeing and treating that man and she's asking him questions and he just keeps repeating himself over and over again. Like, it's just so well done.
It really is.
Really, really well done. So the next one is Train to Busan, which I don't think anyone in the horror movie could praise this any more than we already have, but I'll let you go on and see what you have to say. Yeah,
this is one that it's kind of reminded me when I watched it of like 28 Days Later, with the way that this infection zombie virus was spreading really fast, because the people that got infected reanimated really, really quickly, which made this very hard virus to contain because it just got out of hand really fast. And once again shows, like, this is a typical trope in a lot of zombie films now, is the forced to work together with people you don't know and can't get along with. Because you have like a wide variety of characters, and kind of like what we were talking about with how people were acting during COVID, this is exactly the situation. Like, you have the people that are all about protecting themselves, and others that are wanting to work together to help each other, others that are there just to help their family. It's just a wide variety mix of people, which causes a chaotic soup of emotions and chaos.
And the mass use of zombies, like when we look at the volume of people and the waves that were happening, the waves of zombies coming in, that isolation of being on the train, and when that one guy gets on the train and you're like, fuck, don't let him on.
Yep.
Right? Or I think a guy or a girl, I can't remember.
I think it was a girl.
Was it a girl? And the slow infection, and even for the characters that we meet briefly, you feel for them.
Yeah.
Let alone the main characters and the sacrifice, and the fact that that pregnant woman lived.
Yeah.
To this day, I never saw that coming. And she and her husband, or the gentleman that played her husband, had the best chemistry.
Oh, they really did.
It was just, and the little girl, and at the end when the father sacrificed himself to basically protect
the daughter
and the pregnant woman.
Yep.
And his whole character shift that occurs in that film, And the volume, like, I can't get over the waves of people, and you feel that overwhelmingness of these mass amount of people chasing these three characters.
Yeah.
And somehow they get away. And if it wasn't for that jerk on the train, you know, probably the father would have survived. But even when they're walking through the tunnel and the little girl starts singing.
Yes.
Because you're thinking they're going to get shot. You're like, oh my God, Night of Living Dead all over again.
I was waiting for that to happen.
You know, they're going to shoot these two, and she starts singing. Oh my God, it even got me like a little emotional. And like, she doesn't die, and they make it. It's such a good movie. Like, I don't know who could watch Train to Busan and not walk out of that movie and be emotionally invested in it.
Right. This is why the community praises this film for like the way we do, because it just kind of came out of nowhere for us, and just like it came
out of nowhere for us in North America.
Yeah, that's what I meant by like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was just kind of like just something we didn't expect, and like especially in the zombie genre, like at the time, especially it was a lot of the zombie comedies and stuff like that, and this one was one of those very serious ones and
very serious to what would happen.
Yeah.
Like the mass panic and the letting people on the train and certain people turning on other characters and the untrust.
Yep.
So realistic, and there's going to be a sequel, as we all know. I will watch the sequel. I don't think this movie needs a sequel. I also didn't think it needed a prequel. I think it did a great job of introducing that there was a government testing gone bad. Here's the aftermath of it. These two survive. We know that everything's fucked. Okay, for lack of a better word, we know everything's fucked. Okay, and we see the bravery that people pull through. I'm thinking of the train conductor, his bravery and his focus to keep driving that train as all that shit. Like, we forget about that character.
Yeah,
and how he went bravely to try to find another train. Like, this guy risked his life, and he did die. He did, trying to save. Or the young men on the soccer team, and how he sees his buddies have changed and he's unable to hit them. That's realistic.
Yeah.
And the other two guys are like, okay, this kid, and they don't even get mad at him because of it. There's like this understanding. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, that's like, you get these different groups of characters, but you get to like know all of them in such a short amount of time, and like, you are invested in every single one of them because they do such a good job of making you believe in them and their beliefs.
Well, and it reflects human behavior.
And yes.
Like, let's say I'm at your house, okay, and a zombie apocalypse happens and Tim turns. I would probably have to be the one to take Tim down. You could probably not do it.
Yeah.
And I would not fault you for that. You would be upset, and I would do whatever I had to do in that situation for us to survive. And as sad as I would be, because I do know Tim, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
Right? And I think that that's what that movie captured so well, and that's why we relate with it so well. We look at that and we go, holy shit, if that was me and those were my friends, I don't know if I could do what needed to be done. Because not that long ago, him and his friends were fighting off and saving people.
Right.
Right? So it's a really good way to develop characters. Yet again, that fantasy of us putting ourselves in that situation, going, I would react like that, I would feel like that. And nailed it. Just nailed it. Train to Busan, nailed it. Another movie that I think does a good job of this, only it's more based in fantasy, is Overlord.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So Overlord came out in 2018, and it's based in World War II, and it's based in Nazi experiments and infection, and this virus that makes them unstoppable. And there's some really tough scenes in there. Yeah,
there really is.
There's one scene where one of the main characters is about to be sexually assaulted.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There is, and when there's that kind of stopping of it, you're like, fuck yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're definitely invested. And I think you probably saw this movie too. I've been doing a lot of talking, but is there something you wanted to talk about before I go into more detail on Overlord?
Go ahead on this one, because I'm trying to remember. There's certain scenes, once again, it's one of those that I just vaguely remember.
Well, they're basically in a town, and I'm trying to check to see where the country was that they were located in. And it's a group of, basically it's a troop, and they're fighting Nazis. And they realize that they have created this kind of Nazi testing place to kind of create Nazis to become superhuman basically, and they're able to fight off and kill people. And there is a sacrifice that is done by one of the main lieutenants, but it basically shows the concept of injections and the concept of our fear of supernatural weapons, right? If we look at, the idea of enhancing people to fight back, this is what the movie really represented. It really built into your feelings for the main characters, especially for the female that's introduced as well. The fact that she tries to protect these troops and keep them safe. It's a really good war film that has infection sprinkled into it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of things now, but like, like there have always been like the rumors of the Nazi experiments of people, like them trying to do make super soldiers for these wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether that's actually based in reality or not, but that's been a rumor that's floated around pretty much since World War II. Because I'm sure some of these Nazis probably did inject people just to like try to make them stronger and fight longer. And I mean, obviously, probably didn't turn them into zombies and whatnot, but...
Well, they weren't technically zombies either. They were infected.
Right.
Right? They were infected with basically roids.
Yeah.
Really
like a rage... Yeah. They had the rage roids.
Right? And which made sense because the Nazis wanted to become a superior race, right? So if we're looking also at the racism and the class side of it, this would make very sense for the Nazis' plan.
Yeah.
Very good movie that sprinkles in some history with obviously not being overly accurate, but...
Right.
Very, very interesting. Very good film. It's a 2018 film. If for some reason you missed out on this film, I highly recommend checking it out.
Yep. I remember having a good time with this one too. So
It's up there for me as one of my top infection films. Definitely up there as well as Zombies. Zombies is a 2016 movie. And I want to give a second to give a shout out again to Paul Stevenson. All my love, my friend. Miss your podcast very much. You covered this on Who Will Survive.
Did he really?
Yeah. He covered this in Zombie Beavers or whatever it was.
Yeah.
For a made-for-TV movie, which I feel like it was pretty fucking funny. Basically, these animals are in this endangered, sanctuary, and they get this rage virus. Basically, it's a rage virus, and they go like crazy, and they basically take over the zoo. And there's some pretty bad CGI, but I feel like walking into Zombies, you go, this is going to be a really dumb movie about animals that are zombies, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And I thought the acting for the movie was fine, and I thought how people reacted would be fine. Like, all of a sudden, you had these monkeys and these giraffes that were going like fucking AWOL on you. I don't think you'd be like, oh yeah, this seems like super normal.
This is a normal day.
Like one chick panics and like pieces off with the Jeep. And I think that would happen. I think you would have somebody that would be like, fuck this shit, I'm gone. So I absolutely had no problem with. Yet again, it's a silly movie, and I think if you enjoy silly, stupid films, and your name is Heather, not Scott, you will enjoy this movie. It is. Have you seen it?
I told you I enjoyed it. I thought it was dumb fun.
It's dumb fun, right? But the part where the chick pieces, I'm like, that would happen.
Yeah.
And the one chick that's like, no, I got to protect the aviary and all these endangered birds. There's probably someone out there that would have that happen. Because
for sure.
To our next movie, which is 28 Days Later, that's where the virus started from.
Yeah.
Right? It was animals that were infected that people were like, we're going to free them from this lab.
And then, now the infection spreads.
Right, which I would be all about. Like all the animals. For
sure.
I'd be patient zero, in that situation. I'd be the dumbass that caused the end of the world. You heard it here first on Friday Nightmares. So, what do you think of 28 Days Later, 2002?
This is one that I haven't seen since about 2002, but I remember enjoying it as well, because this is like one of the first times that I've seen the fast-moving infected. And it was truly terrifying. And I think Walking Dead stole from this a little bit, like because of the
you think?
Well, especially
They were inspired.
Yeah. Well, I'll say especially the very first pilot episode of Walking Dead, because it happens the exact same way. Rick wakes up in the hospital, no one's around, from a coma, just like this main character does. Wakes up from a coma, no one's around, and like ends up going outside and trying to figure out what's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much what Walking Dead did.
No, I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead.
Oh, you're not missing much now.
I know. I feel like I just dropped this bomb, and I was waiting for you to be like, "Oh my god!" And you're like, "Nah, it's okay."
I made it to season 3 and just said, meh.
You're like, "All right, I get it. We're still Walking Dead."
Yeah, you're still walking. They're still dead, and your characters suck.
What I think is great about this film is that it's filmed in Great Britain, right? It's based in
Yeah.
Great Britain. And I think the characters are all very likable. Jim is very likable. He wakes up, he wanders around. I love how he doesn't take his like hospital gown off. And he just,
Right.
like, walks around in it and is like, hello, hello. And I think you would be like that. You'd be fucking shocked.
Yeah, because you're like, what the hell happened? Where is everybody?
Now, I never got why the infected didn't attack him. Was it because he was sleeping?
I think so. Like,
Or maybe
Maybe
because he was
it's-
comatose and they thought he was dead because he was in a coma? Like, I don't.
yeah,
They never
that's
really
a good-
explain that,
That is a very good question. I never thought of, actually.
right? And I just assumed it was because he was coma based.
That
They were
might be, yeah.
Oh, shit, dude's passed out. Dude had a good time. Right? Just get really hammed and pass out. And I do enjoy that he meets up with the survivors and they continue on. So there's Hannah, and then there's a young girl, and there's another woman who's in it as well. So they have the activists are the first ones that they list. I love that. The activists are in it for like 15 seconds and then they're out.
Right.
Selena, it must be Selena. And they are found by those other kind of militia people, and then they're going to rape Hannah. And Selena
Oh,
tries to
yeah.
sacrifice herself and goes, no, take me. You want me, you don't want her. And I totally, I could see myself doing that in that situation too. If I was with a young lady and these guys were going to do shit, I'd be like, do it to me. Do whatever you want to me, but leave her. Like, I think that was very realistic to how another woman would want to protect another female, whether that's a motherly instinct or a female instinct or not. The scene with Hannah's father, where he gets the blood in his eye,
Yeah.
and he's like, I want you to know that I love you very much. And she's like, why, Dad, what's wrong? And they kind of put together what Jim kind of puts together what they're going to need to do because he sees what's happening. It's a really, really good emotional film. And I do feel like that started the infection zombie outbreak bar,
Oh, it did.
right? And I
it-
think, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying it did a unique way with the way the infection spread, because it wasn't just through bites. It was actually like just like spreading a virus.
Yeah.
Like through just like the droplets in the air, or
Well,
like
it's actually
blood through-
similar through HIV, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of blood on blood contact,
Yeah.
right? Which is very, very interesting. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a comparison or not that they were doing, or if they just thought it would make the most sense, right? That the virus is in your blood and your blood goes throughout your entire body. I do think it's interesting as well is that the dead died of starvation,
Yeah.
right? Or the infected side died of starvation or started to. And then we have the 28 weeks later, which is a follow-up to this
Yep.
movie.
Which I did not get a chance to see. I was looking for a copy of that one, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can bring up in another time. So the rest are yours. So I'll let you talk. Oh, well, one's mine, but I'll let you talk about them.
All right. So, yep. Well, I'll go back to 1985 and talk about Return of the Living Dead. I put this one in this category because of the experimentation part. Because just like in Overlord with the Nazi super soldiers, there was a chemical called trioxin that was used to reanimate the dead for war to like use as soldiers, and in this movie. And unfortunately, like somehow a canister ends up being put into this mortuary morgue, and well, someone like some dumb character decides, oh, I'm going to show the newbie this secret government weapon that's down here that we found years ago and don't know what to do with it. And he bangs on the barrel and it like cracks open and the gas leaks out, which is how all the undead come back to life. And what I find interesting about this is these undead, it's just never ending, because when the gas gets out into the air, it's bringing back freshly dead, skeletons that have decayed all the way down to their bones. It's bringing back everything that is decayed.
And it's
died.
bringing sexy back.
And it's bringing sexy back, just like me. And it even infects people that are alive if they breathe the gas. And they try to get rid of the body by chopping it up, and every part of the body is still moving on its own individually. So they go to the next resort, which is burning it. And when they burn it, it releases the gas from the body into the air once again, infecting more people, infecting more zombies. And it's like a never-ending thing. Like you can't stop this. It's just it'll eventually just take over the world. Because I mean, even at the end of the movie, they drop a nuclear bomb on the city, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you hear in radio station talk like, oh, so it started raining after the nuclear war, or after the nuclear bomb dropped, and people are saying that it burns like acid when it touches the skin, which is how the chemical is getting back into people's bodies and bringing back the dead again. I just thought that was a very fascinating like storyline for like a never-ending horde of undead, which basically just doomed the entire Earth.
Oh, I feel like this is an environmental movie that's masked as a science movie, to be honest with, or a zombie movie. I didn't like it that much when I first saw it. I thought it was stupid. Someone bought it for me, and I watched it once, and I thought it was the dumbest movie I ever watched.
Wow.
I think, yeah, I really thought it was dumb, but I think now I would have a different appreciation for it. But yeah, so I really don't have much to say about it because I thought it was stupid. I didn't want to rewatch it. So I appreciate that you talked about it because maybe I will.
Yeah, because this is one that I watch every year, and this may be my first rewatch of the year because it's a tradition of mine to watch this on July 3rd because it happens on July 3rd.
You're such a nerd. However,
I am.
Continue.
But we'll see if that happens or not. But anyways, the next one I am going to talk about is Let Sleeping Corpses Lie from 1974, also known as The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, and I believe also known as Don't Open the Window. And then like
You're
7
such
more
a
titles.
nerd. Oh my god.
You love it. Everybody loves it. I bring the knowledge, baby.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I know nothing. Good point, Scott.
I'm not saying that. But no, this one I thought was very interesting because this was not really like an experimentation on the corpses or like bringing back the dead. This was more like an accidental experiment because what happens is this machine is created that sprays out radiation that is supposed to like deter away or kill the pests and insects that would like eat away at farmland and like all the farming produce and all that stuff. But what accidentally happens is this radiation accidentally reanimates the dead, and like that just they don't know why it's doing it or what happened or how it happened, but like they eventually figure out that was the reason for it, which I just thought that was a fascinating one. I've only seen it once. I just watched it for the Horror Drunks podcast, so I don't remember a whole heck of a lot of it now. But I just thought the way that the corpses got reanimated was like an accidental experimentation. I thought that was just kind of interesting and wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it, so maybe it's something I'll definitely check out.
Yeah, it's a very good zombie movie. I will say that.
Nice.
And then the other one obviously is another classic, but Reanimator.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, this is kind of along the lines of just experimenting, bringing the dead back, super soldier style, except for this one, they cannot control the dead. Every time they bring them back, they just the undead just go completely crazy, and they still have a lot of their memories. They can still talk, some of them can, and it's more along the lines of a story about obsession as this Herbert West wants to continue to keep bringing back the dead. Oh, the older dead didn't work. All right, let's bring in the fresh. Okay, this one just freshly died. Maybe this will work to infect it. Oh, nope, that one went crazy too, and I had to kill that one. And it's chaos. But yeah, I figure that's just another brief one because a lot of people know Reanimator, but that I felt like it fit.
Yeah, it's a very classic science experiment movie gone wrong, and even the term reanimator, it's like to movement of something, right? To get something back to life. And I think that's, yet again, our struggle between death and life and wanting to bring things back better and be more improved. So yeah, it's a good film. Like, I've only seen it once, but I did enjoy it. Probably not as much as other people do, but I do have a lot of respect for it. And I do think it's one of those must watch for a horror fan for sure.
Oh, it definitely is. And then this one, we're going to go to New Zealand from the 1990s. With Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, or also known as Dead Alive.
Peter Jackson, man. Like, he came up with some weird shit before he got to Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh. And it's like, it blew my mind when he got to Lord of the Rings. It's like, holy crap, the guy that did the most violent horror movie ever made, it gets this epic fantasy now?
Yeah,
interesting.
Totally, right? Totally.
But yeah, this one is... God, I can't remember the name of the virus, but it's from the Sumatran rat monkey that is found in this on Skull Island because he was obsessed with King Kong.
Yeah.
And so he found the rat monkey. Like, this explorers find this rat monkey, they capture it and bring it back to the zoo, and it's in the cage, and it's literally a weird claymation rat / monkey. It's just horrifying looking, and it ends up biting the main character's mother, who ends up getting infected, and just it's extremely gross, and like this is where a lot of like the body fluids and grossness come into play. And but yeah, it's just like, and then since she's infected, when she bites somebody, she infects them, and so on and so on. The chain just goes on, just like a typical zombie. And this one is more like a true zombie film in the way it happens. Have you seen this one?
No, it's one of the ones that I feel like I've kind of avoided. I didn't mean to cough at that moment to say that. I just happened to cough. But yeah, I think eventually I might check it out, but it's never been something that's been a big watch for me, to be honest with you.
I recommend this one. It's hilarious. I mean, and the
Neil Strickland and Gremlins, so we'll see.
but you loved Gremlins.
I did.
See, so but no, like this one's just another must see that also fit in the infection, because yeah, just I thought that was a unique idea, that it was from a creature that already lived in the world that had this disease in it, and it was called like the Zika disease or Zingaya disease or something like that. And yeah, just it's one of those just must see zombie gore films, especially for someone from Peter Jackson.
Coolio. Cool. And our final category, unknown source of infection. So this is where we don't know. And actually, most of the movies are serious.
Yeah.
So Ravenous is a 2017 French-Canadian film. And you never find out who the infected are. There was one I had on here already, which is Blood Quantum, but I feel like Fresh Cuts, we covered that and we already talked about it a lot before, and I didn't know what new we could add to it, so I did take it out.
Okay.
But go back and listen to Fresh Cuts on it, because I think that goes into more detail on the political side of it, and I've already talked about it in other episodes. But Ravenous, it's a survivalist. It really is. Like, the people that survive in this are the people that like know how to use guns and are very cautious and aware of their surroundings at all times. And when people turn, they still seem to be able to function and communicate, but they work as a group. And they seem to be obsessed with piling furniture and chairs and objects up to the ceiling. So if it's adults, it's adult products. If it's children, it's children's products. So I'm sure there's a deeper meaning behind that. French films usually do have more of a deeper meaning behind things. And throughout this film, there's a group of people that you follow. One woman is a working woman, but man, did I represent with this woman. She's like, my career's been everything. You know, I was getting my nails done when this happened. I wasn't at home with my kids because I can't stand my husband. And she basically becomes the badass and sacrifices herself at the end of the movie, right? Along with some other, everyone sacrificed themselves for one little girl that survives. And it is so well done. All the actions that occur in this movie is like it was actually happening. This was a movie that took that if an infection broke out and you had no idea what it was, and all you knew is that these people were crazy if they got to you, and if you turned, you would become like that. You would avoid them at all costs, and you would do exactly what all these people did. And I gotta say, most of the decisions are smart that they make, or at least they make sense for the situation. So they're either barricading themselves, and there's older people, younger people, or there's these two old women that are badasses, and they fuck shit up until one of them gets turned. And when the one gets turned, the other one kills them. And then eventually sacrifices herself to save this little, like, everyone ends up sacrificing themselves for this one little girl who does get saved at the end. You don't know what she's going to be saved to, because you have no idea what is outside of this. So it's very much like, yet again, what are you being saved for? But it is a solidly made film, high character development, very intense, very reflective of survival nature, and most people moving away from their individualistic needs and working together as a team. And also, I think some deeper meanings in there that I just didn't get.
Right.
Have you seen it?
No, this is the one that I was going to try to get to before we recorded today, but I did not have the time last night.
Watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, I planned on it because you were talking really highly of this one.
It's definitely French Canadians, man. They get shit done. The next one I watched was an Irish film called The Cure. And this is based upon a group of people that have been infected that have been cured. and have been released to society, and then the 25% that hasn't been cured, that is not responding to the vaccine. And it shows some real discrimination that people would feel. It's very similar to people that are released from jail. So whatever their lives may have been beforehand, they're no longer able to go back to that. So one guy was a politician, he can't go back to that. One guy was, I think, a lawyer, he couldn't go back to that. But the crimes that they committed is that they were infected, right? So the idea is that they had this rage virus, they weren't in the right state of mind. So it's a real play on how we view crime in society, reflected with the affection, how people are treated once they exit the system, and even if they've been reformed, can they really be reformed? And I don't want to give the ending away to this because I really think people should watch it. If you are a fan of the zombie genre and has one, or infected genre or whatever, and have wondered what would happen if there was a cure, this is what would happen. This is reflective of how society would respond.
Yeah, I am very curious about this one because, yeah, this is one you were watching yesterday and you were telling me all about it. And I knew a bit about it from a podcast a while back. And, yeah, I really find this idea very fascinating, and hear that it's, like, a lot darker than I expected, too, with the way it's handled.
Very dark, but Ellen Page is in it. She's a Canadian actress. She's phenomenal. There's some other great Irish actors that are in it, also phenomenal. And yet again, this is reflective. If there was an infection in society, a vaccine was found, and we believe that we could change people back to being normal. But these people also have PTSD because they remember what they did.
Yeah.
Right? So you also see people that are not remorseful for it and people that are. And the lines that are drawn, and some great relationship development, and some excellent dialogue. It's an hour and a half long. It flies by. It's heavy. It's worth a watch if you like zombie and infected films.
Yeah. This is one that I will definitely be watching at some point.
Totally. Now, this was the one that you brought up to me, so I'll let you introduce it.
Oh, yes. The Battery from 2012. Now, this one is kind of where I see a lot of the zombie genre kind of going now. And that is the more very personal story with very few characters.
Similar to the Ravenous, actually, because there's only about 5 characters. Like, there's a couple at the beginning, but they get killed off. So there's really only 5 main ones that you follow.
Okay, because this one follows, like, I think it was just 2 friends, and that's all you follow the whole entire time. Like, and you see what because you don't know, the reason I put it in this category, or the reason it's put in this category, is because you don't know where the infection or the source of the zombie virus came from.
Well, you're dropped in right in the middle.
Yeah, you're dropped in after everything's already happened, and, like, people there have been surviving in this world for who knows how long. But yeah, you see what the lasting effects of living in this world can do to you. Because, I mean, you get the young guy that's, like, masturbating to a zombie woman because there's no other woman around, like, so he can't even use his imagination because this is all he sees anymore is zombies.
Yep.
You just see, like, how much this isolation starts getting to both of them, and at the same time, like, how much they're getting on each other's nerves, and, like, the just constant deterioration, like, but at the same time the showing of love for one another.
Oh yeah.
The bond that they have built. Like, it is just one of those just hard to watch films because it's just, like, so depressing, like, because it's really not a happy film.
No, and it's a film, though, that uses its scenes very well. You can tell it's a low-budget film, but it doesn't give a low-budget feel. The writing in it carries it very well, and I think that that's the difference with this film, and it's very realistic to how people would probably behave. And what they bring up in this film is, why are we running? What is the point?
Yeah.
Right? And they talk about, we're 3 months in at this point, because they go back to talk about when they were barricaded in a house. And they talk about the people that have died and how they had to kill a dog and how they had to eat it and how they had to do those things to survive. And I think when you look at that, it really points to, what is the point?
Yeah, it's very futile.
And that's why when they hear about kind of what they think is a community that they think has been created, the one character wants to get into that community, even though he's being rejected. Because of that sense of self and society, right? Like, because what is the point? Like, I actually, when I watched this movie, this is what really made me think of, what is the point? Because at the end of 28 Days Later, at the end of Ravenous, the girl's kind of picked up, and it's a very heroic scene. And in The Cure, majority of the people are cured, so you see the hope. In The Battery, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
right.
What am I what am I working towards? There's so little knowledge, and they just keep moving and they just keep moving, and there's no real sense of self. There's no real sense of connection, and I feel like that's what The Battery really hit on.
Yeah, but
really,
just
really
that
well.
really heavy depression of just realizing that this is the world we live in, and like we just gotta, like, you're only living to survive. There is
Absolutely.
no other reason to live at that point.
Absolutely. And then finally, Pontypool, which is a movie that is based on a small country, like a small town in Canada.
Yeah.
And I loved it because they referred to the OPP and other things, and it was super Canadian. OPP stands for Ontario Provincial Police, and it's yet again a film that uses its budget very well. It's a gentleman and radio station, and this shit's going down around them, and they begin to realize that you're infected through words in the English language, and they speak French, and I'm like, holy fuck, is this like a play on fucking like English, like privilege and shit, or what? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a very politically like underlined movie that you could just be like, oh, it's about languages, but if you look at it deeper, you're like, no.
Yeah, like especially if you're from your country and
Yes.
you know a lot of the political stuff that's going on there. Like
Yes.
it makes a lot of sense. Like I picked up on a little bit of it just because I've learned from you.
Yeah,
Like-
it was very much the fact that they could speak French, and there was another gentleman that I think the doctor was speaking Arabic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the language he was speaking, and you know, it had a lot to do with people that had these other skill sets, and kind of ties into Blood Quantum as well, that aren't, you know, a main language that is spoken by individuals that are white. And I'm not saying that was the whole point of this movie, because white people speak French and other languages too, but English is very much seen as a primary language. And when the moment that was seen as something that was challenging, as well as it looked at the linguistics of English, because phrases in English can be used for so many different things, while other languages, words mean one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I thought that was really interesting too. There's probably more of the tie on it than the other piece of it, but it's even that idea that everyone needs to speak English. And anyway, it's a really well done film. It uses its scenes well. The work that and the atmosphere they build just from using radio conversations is out of this world good.
Yeah, like you even feel like you feel emotion for the guy that they have on the scene that you don't ever actually see. You just
Yeah.
hear him through the radio, and just like the emotions that they portray through that. Like,
The acting is out of this world.
yeah,
The
It's
acting
incredible.
is so good, and you know, these are Canadian actors, and not huge Canadian actors either. Like, some of them won Geminis, and no one knows what a fucking Gemini is. Maybe Christian knows what a Gemini is, and he doesn't even listen to this show. So you know, like, I think most Canadians don't even know what that is either. So very, very good film. I really recommend it. Yet again, realistic to what I think would happen.
yeah, and
You know-
and probably one of the most unique zombie films that I have ever seen, with the way that the infection is. Like, it is
Absolutely.
just so freaking unique, and like whoever thought of this, fucking bravo! Like,
Yeah,
this is something I would have never come up with, and
absolutely.
it's a one that just makes you go, well, wow, that's yeah.
It breathes life into the genre, right? And also makes
does.
it a little more serious. So Scott and I thought we would be clever, and we thought that if there was a zombie apocalypse, we would make up our own, or zombie disaster. I keep saying that word wrong. Sorry, guys. I have a bad speech impediment sometimes that fucks up my speaking. But anyway, and how we would survive. So I guess, should we each give a rule and go back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, say, do you want me to start?
Sure.
All right. So the first one I put was, first thing I'd want to do is find a weapon like a gun and a blunt force weapon, because you want your gun for taking out zombies at a long range, but you also want a blunt force weapon on you at all times for when you run out of ammo.
Cool. Yeah, mine was listen to the news and react. So I went back to, like, because by the time you see them outside your front door, that's almost too late. If you're listening to the news or you're listening to the radio and you hear about shit happening, start to get prepared. Don't be like, oh, that's weird, and change the station.
Yeah, but that makes sense, because I took this as like the apocalypse is already upon us. This is how you survive.
So I'm going to survive. All right, next one. What's your next one?
All right. Next one was fill a backpack with food that won't go bad, water, and medical supplies to always be prepared.
Oh my God, we are so different. So you can tell how Scott is like the practical, like, detailed person, and I'm big picture. Assume the worst, is my second
Oh.
rule. So don't assume that this is happening somewhere else and that it's not going to get to you, or it will blow over, or you'll just go to a pub and have a pint and it will all blow over. Assume the worst and get ready.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of took this as the apocalypse has already happened, and this is how I
Well,
got to
yeah,
survive.
it would be happening. You would just hear about it. You're just assuming it's outside your front door. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that I've heard about it because I listen to the radio. The AM radio. Anyway.
The next one brings you into it a bit. Meet up with Heather and work together to survive.
It's not like you're going to drive to fucking... I don't even have you on here yet. Mine was get supplies if possible. Food, gas, water, clothing. Make sure I have a weapon. Make sure I'm prepared for stuff.
All right. And then the next one for me, find booze. Lots and lots of booze.
So you can get drunk and they don't chase you. That's really funny. I didn't actually put booze at all in mine, which is...
Well, I figured if you and I are going to be surviving together, we're going to need booze to like either put up with both of our shit
Oh my God.
and to just like forget what's happening outside of the world.
Well, and we don't want to forget too much because then we die. But then maybe we come into zombies, right? So mine is be prepared to kill some fuckers. So I think I would have to put myself that I may have to kill some kids. I may have to like actually behead somebody, like, because there's always those people, they hesitate, right? So I'd have to be like, no, Heather, shit's real now. You gotta fuck some bitches up.
That makes sense.
Right? What's your next one?
My next one is keep on the move, only stopping for sleep, eating, and drinking.
Yeah. Okay. Mine was always have an escape route. So whenever you go into a building or stuff, and I kind of stole this from Zombieland, make sure you can get out.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yep.
Next one for me was find shelter in a defensible location.
Oh, yeah. Kind of the same as me. My next one is don't be a dick.
I love it.
Like, don't be an asshole. Like, don't be one of those people that are like, no, I won't fucking help you. Or, what do you want? Well, obviously, if they're not turned, they want to fucking survive the same thing you want to do. So don't be an asshole. See, God, mine is so, like, big picture thinking, and yours is so, like, minute detail. I'm just like, yeah, don't be an ass, you know? Like, don't be treating people like shit when you come across them. Like, better off to work together. Because plus, if they're slower and weaker, you can let them get taken down. Anyway.
That is true. For me, the next one I went with was stay away from high population areas where infected could be. So like cities.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's really smart. I said try to figure out the weaknesses of the zombies because every movie's different. So I would try to be like, is this it's like, are they distracted by noise? Can they hear? Can they see? What is it that I can do to kind of better protect myself?
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I went with find a running vehicle.
Okay, makes sense. I put travel in packs for other reasons that I've stated before.
Right. Which kind of fits with the find a running vehicle as well.
Yeah.
Then I put find materials to build makeshift armor to protect you from bites.
Oh, that's really smart. That's much nicer. I said worst case scenario, sacrifice the weakest member of the group, which I assume would be Scott.
Oh, damn it.
You knew that was coming. All right.
This one I kind of went a little bit funnier with, but kind of true too. Try to find others and find someone to have consensual sex with because sex is a great stress reliever and can help with keeping your mind sharp.
You're someone that's gonna die. Oh my God, you're like, that's like every horror movie thing you don't do. Like it took you to like 10 points to find a car, not 10 points, 8 points to find a car, and then you're gonna bang? Oh my God, dude. This is not the time for banging.
Well, I mean, I got a car now, so it's easier to like pick up chicks, right?
That's right. Okay. Oh my God, we're not traveling together. I've left your group. Okay, I've officially left you behind, and taken your car, like in Zombieland. So number 10, if bitten, and I'm going to turn, do the following: if a dumb zombie, find a safe area, away from people, maybe some booze or some pot, maybe, and a nice place to walk around slowly in circles forever. If evil, find ex-husband and everyone else who has wronged me, fuck shit up, go down fighting.
I love it. Okay, so yeah, you went a lot more serious with yours compared to me.
I did. You probably thought I was going to be super goofy, but besides talking about sacrificing you, which I probably wouldn't do, unless you were already bitten. But at that point, it doesn't matter.
Well, my next one will help you with that situation.
Okay.
So, if we have to run away from the zombies, have Heather run ahead to safety because she is the fastest. And since I am slow and already have a bad knee, I will stand back and distract the zombies and wow them with my awesome dance moves before getting taken down and killed.
You're synchronized dancing, and then you're going to tell them, like, hold up, guys, did you know I moves went pro for magic? They're going to be like, what?
And then that will give you plenty of time to get to safety, and I have done my job. I sacrificed myself to protect you.
Oh my god, you're such a good friend. Holy shit, I sound like such an asshole. Oh man, that's awesome. my major dance moves. Would it be funny if they were like, this was a comedy and they all thought you were just doing the Macarena and you had a big bunch of them doing the Macarena?
That would be amazing. Then I find a way to control them. Be like, oh, I got my own Macarena
and
zombies
you start
now.
doing the Thriller.
This is Thriller.
Thriller night. Anyway, so that was our top 10 rules on how Scott and I would survive a zombie attack.
And if anything, I would say follow Heather's rules because she took this way more serious than I did.
My favorite was if turn evil, and like I honestly wouldn't go just find my ex-husband. That's more of a joke. But I would find people that wronged me, and I would fuck shit up, and I would go down fighting. Like I would go down. I'd be that bitch where I was like, oh no, you fucking didn't. Right? Remember that time in grade 6 when you called me fat? Everyone that had wronged me. So our final topic is, where do we see zombie movies going from here? What's next? I would love to see one where like they take a darker stance to it, like maybe like it's a kindergarten class that gets turned and they're angry, zombies, and the kindergarten teacher or some teachers have to fight off with maybe some older kids, and an older kid has to kill their younger sibling. And make it more emotional, like Train to Busan kind of thing. Yeah, that's where I see this going.
Yeah, you are talking about a much darker version of Cooties.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll have to see Cooties.
Yep, because Cooties is about a bunch of kids zombies because the kids eat tainted chicken nuggets that turn them into zombies, and it's at a elementary school, and the teachers have to like survive against these like hordes of little elementary kids.
Okay, cool.
But it's a comedy. But then, yeah, for me, I see the zombie genre. I want to see the zombie genre continue with the like more personal human stories, like kind of what we've seen with The Battery and like Pontypool and Ravenous. But I also see the genre, especially after COVID-19 is gone and done. I have a feeling we will see a lot more of like the virus infected style zombie movies coming back, and probably instead of like the aftermath, we will probably see more of like how people react in the beginning of the virus, and seeing like how selfish people have become during like this whole entire time, and like how helpful others had become. I have a feeling we'll see like a little more realistic look on what like happened in our world right now in a zombie film.
Yeah, I think we've gone away from comedy zombie films, except for the Zombieland 2. I think we're now like, there was kind of that genre, if we look at the real funny ones, the late 2000s, the 2004 to about 2013 with Zombieland, or no, sorry, Zombieland came out in 2009, but Warm Bodies in 2013. I think we're just going to really start to see stuff as we go along getting darker. You know, Ravenous and Cargo and stuff like that are a reflection. Like Little Monsters I took out as well too, but that's, you know, a little more cute and funny. But I think you're right. I think we will start to see a darker side of it for sure.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we have left to see, at least for now. And it'll probably go back to zombie comedies at some point, but not for a while.
And while everything has its seasons, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for joining us on our adventure to zombies and infected, and how Scott and I would suggest that you survive. It was a lot of fun. It's a big topic, and these episodes are getting longer and longer. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the listen. Yeah,
I'll say this was a very fun episode to talk about. It's a genre that's very well known, but yeah, I'm glad that we covered it, and we could probably cover it in a different way completely on another episode down the road. But
we could. We could.
But I don't know if we would want to repeat ourselves. I'm just saying, like,
Scott's like, I want to keep talking about zombies forever.
No, I'm good on that for now. But like, I'm sure there could be other ways we could bring it back if we really wanted to.
He says he's good on that, but he just wants to find a way to bring up his synchronized dancing.
Damn straight I do.
Right?
I'm like, check out these moves.
I'm just picturing like Happy Peter, all these zombies like following you. Like, not Thriller. I picture like something way more geekier than that. And
I'd be like the Pied Piper of zombies.
Can we get over the fact that you were all like, I would try to save Heather, and I'm like, Scott needs to die. Like, actually true.
I know.
I would do what I could to save people, but if you got eaten, I would shoot. If you got bit, I would shoot you.
Same.
Just so we're clear, Well, you probably.
I'd have a hard time doing it, but I would do it.
I would do it. I would have
Yeah,
a
I
hard
know-
time because I'd
I
be
know
like,
you would.
you don't want to live this life, Scott. You're not about this zombie life.
Right.
You're not about this. Unless we were like super dumb ones that would just wander in circles all the time.
Then it might be kind
I
of
feel
fun.
like that's my life when I'm super high and drunk anyway. So like,
Right.
I feel like that's not too different.
Like we.
In my head I'm dancing, but I'm just actually staring and drooling. Story of my life. Anyway, on that note, we look forward to our next episode. We have a bunch of topics, so we'll see what we do next. And I'm glad you guys are doing it.
Glad you are doing
Wow.
it. Yeah.
Doing it and doing it and doing it. Wow. I'm glad you guys
Represent
are.
Queen. She was raised out in Brooklyn.
I'm really glad you guys are enjoying our episodes and some great feedback that we've gotten. Thank you so much for your kind words. I don't know, Scott, do you want to close this baby out? You got anything to add?
No, I'll say you wrapped it up pretty well. So yeah, thank you everybody, and until next time, unpleasant dreams.
Ha 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 ha.